What's going on, guys? Welcome back to the You Know Ball podcast. I am your host, Trill Bro Dude, and we are here on Memorial Day. The conference finals are in full swing right now, and we'll get that talk out of the way early so that we can focus on what really matters once again and do a mock of the draft lottery. I know that you're all here for the slop, just like us. So let's talk about the Western Conference Finals, an all-time series between the Spurs and the Thunder. This is truly what it is all about. Obviously slop is number one for us, but a great playoff series is not far behind in terms of the dopamine rushing. And after we recorded
agendas being
sure,
it's a good third though.
Yeah,
good NBA basketball. The reasons to follow the NBA: slop, the draft, agendas.
Hold up, TV ratings,
meta
Culture
arguments, discussions about who was and was not a bucket. And then you have
foul grifting. All right, continue.
Yeah, but then right up there, pretty close, is watching NBA basketball being played at a high level, which a lot of people might not agree with that, but I feel pretty strongly about it. I do really like that.
Yeah, and Wemby showed why last night by confirming his spot. I felt like this for a while. I didn't want to make a definitive statement on it because I feel like this is a crown that is not just easily handed out. We have a lot of guys throughout history that have held the crown of the GOAT or a farmer. And I didn't want to just give it to Wemby all willy-nilly and say he is the GOAT or a farmer. But after that half-court shot last night,
that was crazy, dude. That was so fucking crazy, dude.
This is already at 22 years old. He might have already taken the title. Now we've had guys like Steph, we've had Kobe, we've had Jordan. There's been so many aura farmers throughout NBA history, but I don't think any are quite as when he takes it up because he's not a Steph Curry level shooter.
No,
but when he takes those long threes, I'm like, this is going like it is remarkable how often he seizes and captures a big moment and just shows time and time again that he truly is built for it. And on the last episode, I said, sometimes we have to remember that he's 22 years old and he could easily make me look stupid in the next game by coming back and having a very similar game to what he had in game one and have this historical performance. But the inconsistencies are still there from a 22-year-old in year three in his first ever playoff run, making the Western Conference Finals, possibly the NBA Finals, putting his stamp on the league right now. And while the games 2 and 3 were a little bit up and down, he returned to form last night and has clearly been the best player in this series against Shea and the Thunder, who have been the best team in the NBA for the last year and a half to 2 years. And now it feels like this series, it's tied at 2-2. And once again, I feel like coming out of last night's game, it felt like the Thunder really grabbed the series in game 3, where the first 2 games, it was more 50-50, could have kind of went either way. And the Thunder really grabbed the series in game 3 and showed that they were the better team, only for the Spurs to counter with a punch last night where Harper looked much healthier. Castle looked better in a minimized role. Fox didn't. We thought Fox was going to be banged up after game 3. And that was their best performance that they've had. I mean, the defensive performance was out of this world. The Thunder just had literally nothing for them on offense. And this is the thing that I keep saying over and over again, which is that, yes, the Thunder have been, other than the Knicks, have probably been the best team in the playoffs so far. And when you consider that they're playing a team of the Spurs level in the conference finals, a team that, the Knicks are not going to face in the Eastern Conference, you do have to give them a lot of credit. But I have said time and time again, this offense can just fall apart in a way that it doesn't feel like we should just be penning them in or penciling them into the finals or winning the championship altogether.
I don't know. That felt like an outlier. This is a team that has 2 all-NBA players on their roster. There's no way the offense is going to fall apart.
Shea and Alex Caruso?
Oh, well, he's the second best player on the No. I said the all-NBA player on the roster.
Oh, Jared McCain. He didn't play enough games, but we all know.
I mean, like, look, dropping the kayfabe, I understand everyone, like, you know, is going to be mad about this just because Chet Holmgren is not a good offensive player or needs, in order to really thrive on defense, needs to have the defensive infrastructure around him needs to be really good with like a traditional center and a bunch of perimeter defenders. You have to admit that he's really good on defense. And until we come up with a way to honor those guys who are really good on defense, you have no choice but to put him on an all-NBA team. There's no other thing you could put him on that would properly indicate what he's really good at. So, sorry.
Well, did he make first? He made first team all defense, right?
Yeah,
I think he did.
And he should have. He is like a really good, like he is I'm doing a bit. He's a game-wrecking defensive. This has always been my thing with Chet is I don't necessarily think that Chet is like I don't think Chet is a bad player. Chet's a very good player, but it's like, this is like somebody actually, we kept joking about the Derek White. Like,
I was going to make the comparison. I was going to say he's basically 7 foot tall Derek White.
Yes.
Who and
same caliber of player where he's very good, but holy fuck, why? Like, I don't understand why the nerd, like, there's like a insistence on insisting. I think it's because they win so many games. It can't just, you know, you got to have a second guy or something like that. They kind of did this with Jalen Williams last year. And
but here's the difference.
Better. Yeah,
I was gonna say, here's the difference. Mm-hmm. And I've seen people say that because they won all these games without Jalen Williams, that he wasn't as important to the run last year and da-da-da. But we've talked about, like, when the offense breaks down at this capacity, they need someone to lean on. And through the first 2 rounds, it was AJ Mitchell, who got injured in this series, but has not been the same facing the Spurs defense compared to when he was facing the Suns and the Lakers defense. And J-Dub, while he was also inconsistent in last year's run, when the offense was really in piss and shit, had these random pop-off games where they just needed a volume scorer who could run some offense and get a bucket. And Chet is not equipped for that. Chet doesn't have the facilities to be he's not a creator. He is literally, he has to be your 3rd or 4th best offensive player and when it is all, when the infrastructure is all there for him, he can be fantastic as this play finisher when he's not getting his shot rejected because he has a slow release, 3-point shooter, and guy that can just kind of be more of a glue guy. I mean, we talked about during the Sixers Knicks series, I remember talking about the best role players in the NBA, and the 3 guys that we were saying, there's really 4 guys I feel like, and like it's like Chet, Derek White, although Derek White obviously had his issues in the playoffs this year, but it's like Chet, Derek White, Aaron Gordon, and OG Anunoby are like the 4 guys I think of when it comes to this, when they're like your 3rd or 4th best offensive player and they can focus on what they're great on defense, then your team is going to be extremely good. And Chet has shown in this series, whether it's the Wemby matchup or it's just his inability to create off of the dribble in a way that they desperately need when J-Dub and AJ Mitchell are both out, he has not stepped up and been the guy that can fill in as that second option. In game 3, it was Jared McCain. And it feels like the reason why this OKC team is so desperate without those guys is because Chet is just not a viable secondary option, especially in this series. But I think in most playoff matchups that are serious playoff matchups in general, if they got through this series, they would need to get AJ Mitchell or J-Dub back for me to feel good about their chances to beat the Knicks in the finals. And I feel like, I definitely feel like people got a little bit ahead of their skis in the first 2 rounds. I saw obviously it is the nerd section of Twitter, the calculator rat section of Twitter, talking about top 10, top 12 player with him. It is very obvious that he needs to be in a specific role in a specific context, and he can be extremely good when that is the case. But he struggled last year when he was asked to be more of an on-ball guy, when he was asked to be a creator. And now it's being exposed in probably the worst possible time and matchup for him in the playoffs right now. And I just feel like this series it's probably going to end up going 7. The Knicks might be the first team in NBA history that I can remember that got all teams that went to 7 in the previous round. Sixers, Cavs, and then the winner of Thunder Spurs after, by the way, sweeping, and then finals.
Yeah.
And they really
swept every time they've gotten a team that was just playing 7.
They've won 10 straight games, and whoever comes out of, regardless of how I feel about how the Thunder looked last night, they've shown the ability to kind of just flush games like they did last year, both teams,
both of these teams are extremely good psychologically, which is the thing that I'm like really impressed with both of these teams. Where every time it kind of feels like after Game 3, I was like, man, that's kind of a fucking backbreaker. Like this is like if the Spurs don't win this next game, they're in a lot of fucking trouble. And then now this one is a psychological test for everything we were just talking about. You don't have Jalen Williams. AJ Mitchell's out. If Jared McCain doesn't have it and Caruso and Jalen Williams aren't getting these like insane 8 for 11 from 3 games that have kind of buoyed them in some of these other ones, you're just in like a lot of trouble. So now it looks like they're kind of like, in a little bit of hot water here going back to Oklahoma City, but I could also just see the script completely flipping again by the time we get to like Game 5 or Game 6.
This is the most even series we've had in the playoffs so far in terms of two teams that are just very much on each other's level and have counters back and forth. A lot of the reason why they had success in Game 3 was because they were like, we're just going to take what the defense gives us. And if Wemby's in the paint, we're just going to take a bunch of mid-rangers. And they got hot from mid-range. They got hot from 3. And it, like you said, it buoyed them to a win, specifically with Jared in that game, kind of catching fire and really helping. That's been the dangerous thing about Oklahoma City this year versus last year, where they have a bunch of guys that they can they could just throw to and be like, all right, well, this guy doesn't have it tonight. Let's see if this guy has it. And last night they went so deep into their bench that they played 2 guys that have barely played at all this entire playoffs in Kendrick Williams and Aaron Wiggins. And they just, that ultimately was too little too late in that game. And Aaron Wiggins,
Kenrich was kind of hooping. Like, I know Kenrich it was time, but like,
Kendrick might have a little role in this series only because without J-Dub, they truly don't have a real forward on this team. Like, it's pretty much all guard size guys and then bigs. Like I
think SGA is the 4th tallest guy on the team. Probably, that might not be true now after Topic. Last year it was true that like SGA was like the 3rd or 4th tallest guy on the squad, which was crazy.
I was like, going to say, now with J-Dub out, like J-Dub is around the same height, but he's also built like a forward. And so you have the lack of him being in there. I understand that Kenrich might have a little bit of a glue guy role that he can play, especially because the Spurs outside of Wemby aren't going to overwhelm you with size on the wing. And so that might give them a little bit of an advantage. But like you saw Daignault pulling into the bench and pulling out Wiggins and throwing him out there. He's cold. He hasn't played all year. He's been down. He's had a down year all season. And the Spurs are a team that when Harper, Fox, and Castle are all healthy and all in their correct roles for themselves and they're not overextended and asked to do too much for the team, and Wemby's playing defense like he does last night, they really have a chance against anyone. And the guys that the guy that we talked about on the Patreon episode that really impressed me so far this playoff run is Devin Vassell, who continues just to be kind of the exact player everyone thought he was going to be coming out of college, as like a defensive guy who is a little bit of a dirty work guy and also can make a ton of big shots throughout the course of a playoff run like this. And the Spurs would be, I mean, in my memory, this has to be one of the youngest teams in NBA history to make the NBA finals if they win this series, right? Like I think the closest you're going to get is the 21 Spurs or the 21 Suns, and they had Chris Paul. Like they had the savvy old 34-year-old Chris Paul, but the average age, I would imagine, in the rotation for the Spurs is incredibly young. I mean, De'Aaron Fox is like the vet of the guys who play regularly.
Yeah. Both of these teams, like Alex Caruso's unk on the Thunder too.
Mhm.
Like, this is that's what I guess that's what's like so impressive to me. And I wonder, this might be a little bit of an old man yelling at cloud, but I'm so used to like watching the Celtics and just like watching them completely lose composure and melt down like the second that the officiating like goes against them. And like, sometimes it's bad, but like, I'm sorry, bad officiating is part of the game. You've got to like go out there and keep doing it. And both of these teams have kind of like, both have had some moments where I would say the officiating did not go in their favor. And both teams have just kind of like not really like fallen apart. They've kind of squared up and like taking care of business. And it's like, outside of like Carter Bryant, like I'm not seeing like a lot of guys like kind of looking like very overwhelmed by the moment. Like straight up Harrison Barnes is just out there like, yep, I've been there before, man. Like, and I'm like, who is that? Like
Old trusty Harrison Barnes.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. It's so funny
you
that
can rely on.
he's like a savvy vet now. Like he's like and he's just like out there kind of like grinding, like I think the only person like Steph Castle has just been like fucking like complete Karis LeVert wheel, like, but for defense. Like
he's role player Russ, dude. He really
crazy.
is. Like
Yeah.
I said, he's Drew Holiday meets Russell Westbrook in terms of Russ's brain and motor, but also can occasionally lock up and get buckets like prime Drew Holiday.
I'm loving him. Like I'm really like on board with like the Steph Castle experience. Like as a neutral observer,
Yeah, as a more athletic Josh Hart, basically. Not when he's asked to be, hey, go be SGA for us.
He doesn't. He's more athletically pleasing than Josh Hart though, because he doesn't like really flop. Like if Steph Castle's like falling down, he's getting hurt like pretty bad. What are you talking? Don't look at me like that. Steph Castle
has been known for literally doing the Brunson Trae Young throw your head back.
Josh Hart falls down every time he's bringing the ball up the floor.
I think Josh Hart is more of a klutz. I said Castle is more like an athletic Josh Hart now. I think there is potential for him to be more than that as he gets older. I mean, I think the thing that will always determine whatever ceiling he reaches is probably his off the dribble shooting, which so far has not been great, but he's a great driver. He's a great free throw drawer and he's a great defender. And the only time that he truly gets exposed is when they're like, go be our point guard, go do everything for us. I've been saying like he's just an off-ball wing with a shaky shot, which is going to lead to a lot of ups and downs. But the games where he's being a super role player, he can be a ton of fun. It's just when Fox and Harper are out, he's just not he's not equipped. He's not equipped to run an offense. And honestly, I never really thought of him as that. And that's why it was great when they traded for Fox. It was even better when they drafted Harper, because it's like, oh, cool. Now you can be the super role player that I thought you could be. And it makes him a much more effective player. But this has really been the story so far through 4 games of the Western Conference Finals. Automatic NBA posted this. And this is, remember earlier when I said, this is basically going to be I posted the Matthew McConaughey, those are rookie numbers meme from Wolf of Wall Street and said Wemby looking at Embiid's on-offs in the 2019 Raptor series. In 4 games, they are a plus 50 with Wemby on the court. They have a 116 offensive rating and a 102 defensive rating, a plus 14 net rating. In the minutes that Wemby has not played, they are a minus 46 with a 89 offensive rating.
How many minutes is that?
It's probably not a lot. 132 defensive rating, a negative 43 net rating. So I'm going to look up and just see how many minutes Wemby has played. I'm going to imagine that's like 10 minutes a game. So that's probably like, all right, so he's played 49 minutes, but that did go to double overtime. He played 37, 39, and then last night he played 31 because they were able to pull away. But it's not a lot of minutes. I mean, you're talking about like 50 minutes the whole series probably, and they're not able to survive on either side of the court. So I don't like that will affect the rest of this series, whether they can win. It is now a best of 3 going back to Oklahoma City. And it's something that if they do win this series, I think really could backfire next round, because I've talked about, and I just want to talk about the Knicks here. And I feel like I'm going a little crazy hearing and at first I was like, all right, this is kind of like maybe I'm ahead of my skis because they just destroyed the Sixers. But after game 3 of the Sixers series, I was like, I think the Knicks can win the finals. Like I'm like, this team has a ton of two-way talent. They got guys on all-time heaters. They have the 3 leading guys in true shooting percentage in Karl Anthony Towns, OG Anunoby, and Mikal Bridges.
I was gonna say OG's been he's been like kind of the like.
I think Mikal, to me, because I expected OG to have a really good playoffs. I expected if they were going to make a run, I figured Cat and OG would have to be really good. Mikal has been the one where I'm like, where the fuck did this come from, dude? He has like a 78 true shooting over the last 10 games. He has just been on fire from mid-range. He got his 3-point shot back. The final game of that Hawk series really got his confidence back for him, and he's been an absolute killer since. And I felt like the thing that always held them back from being a true contending team. Now, the defensive weaknesses are obvious with Brunson and Cat from last year. But to me, it was always the Mikal spot where it was like his inconsistencies just make it so that this team can't really be firing on all cylinders. And then when he plays well, they don't lose. And him having this run, and now the Eastern Conference, especially the last 2 rounds, like I joked throughout the season, the Sixers, to their credit, got healthy and locked up in the Celtics series and figured out that offense halfway through. But I've said throughout the season, I was like, oh, that's the Sixers defense tax. Because anytime we went up against a team with a lot of really good perimeter creators, we got fucking gashed. And the Cavs, I remember watching in the first round when they played the Raptors, and I was like, RJ Barrett looks like a superstar right now. Yeah. And Scotty Barnes, who is an awesome player, looks like prime Giannis right now. So like, I'm like, what do I make of this Cavs Knicks matchup? Because, and really going back to the Sixers Knicks, but when you play this well for 10 straight games in the playoffs, and you're doing things on offense that haven't been done since the Showtime Lakers in the 80s in terms of statistical output, and you've won 10 straight playoff games, like the list of teams that have won 10 straight playoff games are basically every team that won the championship, or they went up against an all-time team in the finals and they lost, like the Cavs when they faced the Warriors in 2017. So like, I just feel like I'm going a little insane. And I think the media is starting to come around to it now, but I do feel like the general consensus from NBA fans is that the winner of Thunder Spurs is going to win the finals. And we've both kind of been saying for 2 weeks, like, I actually think the Knicks match up fairly decent with both of those teams and can win that series.
They can absolutely. I think it's going to be another really good series. Like, I just, like, I think it's going to come down to, I think the Knicks have their own weaknesses. You know what I'm saying? Like Oklahoma, like we've seen what happens to the Spurs once you get one of their like 2 creators off the floor. Like it gets fucking hard for them. Like, cause you can just kind of key off Wemby, and we're seeing like no Jalen Williams right now, no AJ Mitchell. Like you kind of, it's basically like Jared McCain or one of our other guys gets hot from 3, like is basically the game plan. And that's their issue. With the Knicks, it's going to be like, what's going to happen when Cat's in foul trouble? Because
that's the big swing factor. And I do think that if I were a Knicks fan, I might be like, so I've thought about this because I'm like, they played the Spurs really well. They beat them in the NBA Cup Finals.
Yep.
Both of these teams are different now. Like Harper's way better than he was now. The Knicks are clicking. All of the statistical stuff since January they're basically, all 3 of these teams are even in terms of net rating, in terms of record, in terms of all of that. I've wondered for a while. I figured they would just say we match up well with the Spurs. They're inexperienced. They haven't won a championship like OKC has. Give us them. But now you have these injuries with OKC. And by the way, I think AJ Mitchell has a calf injury, which teams have not been fucking around with. Yeah. And Jalen Williams hasn't been able to stay healthy the entire season with his hamstring injury.
Yeah.
And I'm wondering if you are the Knicks, if you'd actually prefer the banged up Thunder matchup now, only because it's weird to say it is weird to say because they obviously have Shea, who is like the GOAT foul grifter, like one of the top 5-10 foul grifters we've ever seen in the history of the NBA. But
it's him and Harden, like, I think.
Yeah, I mean, I guess it depends on how you would define grift, because like I've said this before, Jimmy Butler has a better free throw rate than Prime Shaq, which I don't think that people realize. But also I do think that people view Jimmy as more of like a bully ball, gets his fouls within the flow of his game, as opposed to like what Harden and SGA have kind of been able to work into their games. But the thing I was going to say was like, I've been wondering, because to me, I agree that the one thing that could sink them in a series, because the advantage that they have over even any of these teams is that they have two offensive engines and two styles that they can go to with Brunson on the court or Cat on the court. And it kind of has sustained their offense throughout the playoffs when you split those two guys up, that they're going to have a really good offense no matter who's on the court. And if Cat gets into foul trouble, that throws a whole wrench into things, because weirdly enough, Mitchell Robinson's actually not been that great in these playoffs. And
he's also got the free throw thing.
And he has the free throw thing, which they've actually, I don't know if you've been paying attention that much to this, but the Cavs, they've kind of baited the Cavs into doing that. So they put Mitch out there, and then they do the hack and Mitch thing. And then the Knicks just wait until they're in foul trouble and they're in the bonus, and then they pull Mitch, and then they're just, for the rest of the quarter, they're in the bonus. And the reason I bring this up is because, like, if you're facing the Thunder, I know obviously you're worried about SGA getting anyone into foul trouble, but if you have that match, like, I genuinely think the Spurs guards and their rim pressure and their ability, like Fox and Harper, and their ability to get, and Castle's also a great free throw grifter. I might worry about Cat getting into foul trouble more in that matchup, only because the lone weakness that the Knicks have shown throughout this run is rim protection. But they've faced a bunch of teams that haven't really been able to expose that. Like the Sixers have one rim threat in Maxey, and they just iced him that entire series, so he couldn't get into the paint.
It's not going to be Cat that's going to be picking up the SGA fouls. Like it's going to be Mikal Bridges or
OG or someone.
OG or someone like that. And like that's just kind of like, or even Deuce McBride. They'll probably put Deuce McBride on him, like for like bits and pieces to kind of there. Like any of that. Like I just think that like the problem is that like you get to Ariel Huckporty very fast if Cat's picking up like two quick fouls, like, and there's like 9 minutes to go in the first quarter. Like, what do you do in like a
We only saw that in the Sixers series, which that one game. And by the way, that was the one game. There was two games the Sixers really hung in it, and Cat was in foul trouble in both games. And the difference is that the Sixers are just not nearly as talented as the Thunder and the Spurs. So to me, if I were a Knicks fan, I might just slightly prefer now it seems crazy to say, because you usually are just like, look, we already beat the Spurs in the regular season. They've actually never really beat the Thunder. 2 straight years the Thunder have beat them, but this year the games were much closer. And the Knicks were not playing at the level that they're playing at right now. Like we see it every year where a team gets hot in their conference, and like we thought with the Pacers last year, who pushed the Thunder to 7 and almost won that series. Like they're playing at a level that is just so far above where they were when they played these teams earlier in the season, and they still beat the Spurs earlier in the season. But to me, like between if Harper and Fox are like available and they just have that rim pressure threat that is more prominent than the Thunder, combined with like we can run pick and roll and throw lobs to Wemby, that's a little bit scary to me in a way that I don't really see the Thunder being able to expose the rim protection issues that the Knicks have, even though that defense is just levels above any defense that they've faced so far in the playoffs. So once again, I do agree. I think it's going to be like that is probably going at least 6 games in the finals. Whoever faces off, and I picked the Thunder to beat the Knicks in the finals before the season. I picked the Thunder to beat the Knicks before the playoffs in the finals, but I don't feel as confident as I felt before the playoffs or before the season, because I think the Knicks have just shown they have an extra gear that they really did not show all that much in the playoffs last year or in the regular season all that much this year, outside of random games where they would destroy teams. So I feel like those teams are fairly even across the board, and I think we're going to get a great finals regardless. And Bill had this conversation after game 2 of the Knicks series, I think it was, and he talked about like what this Knicks ring would mean from like a sports story standpoint. And the only ones that I can think of, and I think he even brought up like the Red Sox in 04, the Cubs. And then in NBA terms, I feel like this would be the biggest ring in terms of media narrative and stories since LeBron in 2016.
Oh, like definitely for like the Knicks. I mean, it just
not for anyone's individual legacy necessarily, but like for the whole
for the Knicks.
Yeah.
I mean, we said it before the season where we were kind of like, hey, if you're the Knicks, this is the year. Like, you know, and it was that way for a bunch of teams in the East, and that was part of that was us yelling at Detroit, like, hey, like, do you sure you don't want to take this a little more seriously?
And
like
you never know. Like, look at the teams in the West teams are going through a war, and they're going to be all banged up. Like, I think any team in the East that had a real shot to win this conference. Now, to be clear, I don't think that I saw the Knicks hitting this gear. But I also think that like
the Pistons would be putting up more of a fight than the Cavs are getting euthanized. Yeah.
And I think the Celtics could have taken a game or two off of the Knicks in the second round. Like I just don't I think the way that they have swept and demolished teams, they were probably going to win this conference either way. But I do think that there could have been more of a resistance from other teams, and they happened to avoid a lot of the teams that could have maybe taken a game or two off of them. And so that's ultimately like,
this is just the Celtics 2024 season all over again, where I feel like the Knicks have benefited from some like matchup and like schedule luck, but they also didn't really need it. They were the best team. Like, like, you know, like, so you know, you get there. Like, I think people will try to, asterisks this one. Like, I don't think so. I think if they're going through, every team that wins the title ends up with some sort of path like this. Now, I keep saying, like, I think the Thunder team is so much better than last year's Thunder team, and they might not even make the finals.
Yeah.
I'm always going to say that this is a better Thunder team than the championship team. Just because like it's just like the conference got better and they didn't get the same schedule luck. Like, and it, you know, if they don't end up winning the title this year, I don't think that it's necessarily like some sort of bad thing. It's just some years you get your bad injury luck. Sometimes your third best player gets hurt at the worst time, and it's right when you catch your bad matchup, and that's just kind of how the playoffs go sometimes.
We kind of saw this with like the Nuggets won the championship, and then the next year that team was just as good, if not better. And then they just kind of wore down over the course of that Wolves series.
Yeah.
And then they were like, we played a ton of basketball, guys were banged up, and the Wolves were a really bad matchup for us, and they won that series, made the conference finals, and then the Nuggets haven't been back since. But this truly is why you like really I don't know if you saw by the way, did you see how much the first courtside seat got sold for the finals at MSG? How much the cost was?
Oh God,
just guess. For a courtside seat for the NBA finals. So that's going to be game 3.
I'm going to say let's do 6 hundo.
Oh, okay, it's not that much. It was $280,000 for courtside seats.
That's more than I said.
Wait, did you say 6? I thought you said 600,000.
No, I said let's do 6 figures. Let's say 100,000.
Oh, I thought you said.
I was like,
$280,000 for courtside seats at the NBA finals. And by the way, this is why when Sixers fans are like. And I really hate that Daryl Morey and the tax thing has turned me into someone that would defend Sixers ownership in any capacity. But I'm like, yeah, this is why the Knicks are like, we'll spend it in the tax. They can sell a single seat for $280,000 courtside at MSG. The tax isn't shit when you play at MSG and you're printing fucking money.
Yeah, you've got 5. You've got 5 seats together on your front row, just pays for Jose Alvarado's contract for the year.
Exactly. And like they could go into the repeater for the next decade if they're a contender and sell off. This is exactly what happened. Remember when the Warriors were still paying into the tax, even though they weren't contenders, and everyone's like, how could they do this? I'm like, look at the price of the tickets to get into the Chase Center. Like, the wealth is just absurd in those areas relative to the large majority of NBA teams. And it's apples and oranges. You can't compare when they have markets like that. And they're just, they're willing to spend that much because the team makes a lot of fucking money.
Yeah. No, it's crazy. I mean, I would say for Knicks fans, I'll say this. I think this will I think it would be great for Knicks fans. I think Knicks fans would go insane. I do think that it would be a little bit of a
test of Mom Donnie.
Well, I was not a test of Mom Donnie. I was gonna say the don't it always seem to go that you don't know what you've got till it's gone. Like, because this is the last like New York fan, like, oh, woe is me. Like the Knicks haven't won since that, they haven't even been to the finals.
The Liberty are the only team that have won a championship in the last 15 years. I guess the Giants 2012, but
yeah, 2012, and then the Yankees in 2009. But like before that, it was not a lot.
It's the longest drought for the men's professional sports. So it has to be.
I was gonna say, I mean, obviously the Nets, Jets, Mets set has their own it's
a brutal time to be a fan of any of those teams all the time, basically.
But like I do think that like it would obviously be like massive for like New York as like a sports franchise. I will say the speed with which Knicks fans would be like, because right now they're like kind of annoying, but it's like, oh, you know what, they've earned this, like, they should enjoy this. The speed with which once they win, I'm gonna be like, all right, let's fucking like
wrap it up,
calm down. Like it's gonna be like, because they're gonna be talking about this shit as like the greatest championship in the history of sports for
100%,
like 10 years.
I said this, and I said, look, Knicks fans online usually annoy me. I think it's very funny that a lot of them are kind of, even though most of them vote liberal, they're kind of conservative coded, and like they're very like Trump, like no one fucking believes in us, and you're a piece of shit if you think like it is very like a reactionary fan base.
They got so mad at me for saying that the Knicks were the favorites coming. It's like, actually the Pistons and Celtics were both favorite, and they're like quoting like the odds to me that like the Celtics
before the
playoffs would like the Celtics had like the technical best betting odds, and I'm like, okay, but like that's made up like shit.
I mean you picked the Knicks to win the East just like me, right? So that,
well, I'm different because I'm a Celtics fan. So like obviously I was gonna do what I was gonna do, but like I feel like most.
Also, you had the for the viral content purposes, you had to just hang on to the because that would have been the greatest call of all time if they did make.
I thought I was gonna get it. Man. I really did.
It was right there. It was right there.
I mean, it hurts a lot less because the Nuggets did go out like Stan Chera.
Yeah, sure.
So like, that made it hurt a lot less, where it's like, okay, well, I was just wrong about everything. I probably should. When you're predicting the seasons, like you really should kind of go chalk in the NBA.
Well, but this year
pretty rare the Pacers are like,
true. But there were also before the season, especially, there was not I picked the Knicks because I was like, the Pacers have been the thorn in their side, and the Pacers are out this year.
The Thunder are pretty chalk pick.
I agree. I'm just saying in the East there wasn't a chalk pick, and you basically, funny enough, I think we were picking between you went out of your way to pick the Celtics. But I think before the season I literally had Cavs Knicks as my Eastern Conference Finals, because I was just like doing the logical, like the Pacers are out, the Celtics are pretty much out, the Sixers are probably done, the Bucks are probably done. Who's going to be that next tier of team? And like the logical conclusion was just, the team that got to the conference finals last year and the team that also lost to the Pacers, let's just put them in the conference finals together. And it happened to work out. But what I was saying about the Knicks fans in general was the Knicks fans are one of the few fan bases, because every once in a while when a team makes the finals or the conference finals after they haven't made it in forever, they'll post like, oh man, Bill Simmons did this in 2024 and it drove me fucking insane when he posted the photo of you guys during free agency, and it was like Chris Humphries,
Yeah.
Whoever you guys signed in the 2013 free agency period.
If you weren't with us then, don't be with us now.
Right.
Like,
It was that was
bullshit.
the right.
Yeah.
And Bill posted like what a ride it's been and posted that photo, and I was like, you guys were bad for 1 year between championship windows. Like really one, if you want to stretch it and say 2 because you guys were under 500 the second year, even though you overperformed that second year, fine, fair, whatever. Like Knicks fans are not Celtics, Lakers, or even Thunder fans, where when they post that shit, I'm like, all right, you guys were bad for 1 to 3 years max. And then on each side, you had a chance to win the championship in both of those cores. And the Knicks genuinely are one of the few fan bases that I'm like, they were posting screenshots of lineups. They were talking about players that they had to watch. And I'm like, this is actually, they were kind of, other than the Kings, like, it's like,
I mean, they were really bad for a long time. Yeah.
I was gonna say, it's like, obviously you have the ones that are baked in, like the Kings and the Hornets, but outside of the teams that are just like always at the bottom, the Kings, the Hornets, I guess you could say the Pelicans too, who were the Hornets at one point. But like even the Nets, if you want to stretch it to 25 years, made the finals twice and had the Kevin Durant team that was like we thought they could have won the finals. This Knicks team is their fans actually do deserve the victory lap that they're having right now, even though if they win the finals, it will be extremely annoying.
It's going to be very annoying, but they do deserve it.
They deserve it. Yeah. They genuinely, like, the amount of terrible players that they had to sit through and convince themselves they were good. I mean, you always tell the story about how when you worked in New York, the Alonzo Trier thing.
Yeah.
But like that was like a common thought amongst Knicks fans. Like this guy, like Jason Buford posted earlier today, he's like, this guy's the next Monta Ellis is what I thought. Like he was like the amount of guys that we just had to convince ourselves were good. And then to do it in this fashion, and Bill pointed this out, and I thought it was a great point. This Knicks team has done everything kind of against common conventional thought in terms of like no draft. Like this is basically the 2019 Raptors in terms of like they didn't draft anyone in the lottery. They acquired most of their now they drafted a lot of those guys or they got them via the draft.
We always talk about how free agency is dead.
Yeah.
They got their guy in free agency, like, and they got Cat in what is a salary dump? Like, I'm sorry, like, like, and that's like pretty much it. Like, the Mikal Bridges was like a
huge risk,
their worst move, and it's been fine, like.
And people have pointed out like the reason why they were able to get Mikal Bridges. One is the contract that Brunson took, that Brunson was willing to take less money, combined with the fact that in order to get Josh Hart, OG Anunoby, Karl Anthony Towns, and Jalen Brunson, they really didn't have to give up much. And that was the reason why they were able to overpay for someone like Bridges, who is also in the prime of his career, had the connection with guys on their team. So it is kind of a team building masterclass, but it also like breaks conventional wisdom in terms of like you have to draft to build a contender. You also have to have like a surefire top 3 player in the NBA. And then on top of that, the small guard thing. Like I know Brunson is an outlier, but like if they win the championship, he will be, if not their best player in the finals, one of their 2 best players. And everyone has said you cannot do it with a small guard. And in the playoffs specifically, it just won't work. And they are kind of breaking all of that right now.
Who is it? Mitch and Deuce McBride, and like then just their deep bench guys for people they drafted. Like
I think that's it. Yeah, I mean, like it's really Mitch, Deuce McBride, because they drafted like Grimes quickly and all those guys, but they traded all of them. They drafted RJ, they traded him. Yeah. Like most of these guys are via free agency or trade. It is unlike any other, and also it doesn't hurt that they have an owner that was willing to spend as much as he was because he's able to. But like I do
that was a drawback for them for a long time, was they had some of the worst ownership in the NBA for like basically my entire life. My entire conscious life has been like James Dolan has been like a toxic, a Reinsdorf like figure, like but worse, like in the like NBA sphere, where he was just like a traditional like horrific owner. And so like I do think that like like the Knicks, it was never as hopeless as like for the Kings, because the Kings do seem like cosmically cursed in like a way, and like the Knicks
also don't have the market
front office. Yeah. And like, even with as bad as the Knicks were, there was like the Carmelo Anthony, J.R. Smith, like Amare teams that like, were never really serious contenders, but at least like got to the second round and like we're a 2 seed. So,
but they like, and this is why I don't think that the Bulls are fucked forever, because it's like there's always the allure of playing in a market like that and being like what Jalen Brunson has become. And like ultimately them getting Jalen Brunson was like, then Josh Hart wanted to go there, then Mikal Bridges wanted to go there, Karl Anthony Towns wanted to go there, OG wanted to go there. And like when you have the level, and we've talked about this with the Clippers and the Heat before, where you could just be mid for a while and players are still going to want to live in that place. And if players want to live in that place, you'll always have an outside chance of building a contender in an unconventional way that like the Sacramento Kings will never be afforded. The Sacramento Kings and the Charlotte Hornets can only build through the draft. Like that's kind of all they have at their disposal, which I do think that this new draft lottery is going to completely fuck teams like that. But that's another conversation that I don't really want to get into right now. Let's talk about the other side of this, which is the Cavs going down. They finally make the conference finals. They're down 3-0.
By the time you're listening to this, they'll have been swept.
I was going to say, if there's any team that I feel confident is not going to be the first team to pull off the reverse 4-0 sweep, I'm going to bet on this Cavs team.
I'd be shocked if there's a game 5. Like legitimately shocked if there's a game 5. I'm going to be honest. Like it's never been more over in the history of the NBA, in my opinion.
It doesn't feel like there's going to be right now. Weirdly enough, though, I will say this much. I don't know if it's indicative of the final scores right now. This series has been, every game has been a game until the fourth quarter in a way that I didn't like. It was just obvious. Like the Cavs were just consistently down 8 in the last game, and it was just obvious the Knicks were going to win.
Yeah.
But I do just want to point out, like, they're the only team that has really had out the Sixers in game 2. And then obviously the Hawks stole the 2 games at the beginning of that series. Mm-hmm. And then they were up 20 something in game 1. And yeah, you could say like the Knicks were cold, but like the Knicks have not had games like that a lot recently. And the Cavs have put up I would say an honorable fight at times, but it ultimately, I've said this time and time again, the talent is just not like you're building.
Why are they not playing Jalen Tyson? Like, That should be playing every fucking. He should be starting. Like it seems crazy that they don't do that. Like every time I watch that series, Jalen Tyson's doing something cool, and I'm like, well, sure, wow, that's crazy. Surely he's got to go. He's playing like 10 minutes a fucking game or whatever it is.
I will say, I think the Knicks were winning this series no matter who Kenny Atkinson played, but I do think his addiction to small ball has kind of sunk them, and honestly kept teams like the Raptors in their series earlier in the playoffs. But right now, like Donovan Mitchell apparently has I think people are speculating it's like a groin injury, and that is just like another finicky injury where it's just like one game he looks like game 1 and it's like wow, and then the next game I'm like he looks like shit right now. And combined with the fact that like Harden is 36 years old, like Harden has been falling apart in the second half of these games, as you would expect a 36-year-old playing against a much better team. And like when you can see it when they're interviewing the Cavs after these games, they're like, we're just not good enough. Like you can criticize James Harden and Donovan Mitchell for some of the things that they've done in this series, like the not getting the bigs involved as much and kind of getting tunnel vision and maybe taking like bad shots, especially at the end of game 1. Down the stretch of that game, but ultimately, like the Cavs, this was the Cavs ceiling. Like the Cavs ceiling was like making the conference finals and maybe winning a game or 2, and they have pretty much reached that. And it hasn't been pretty along the way. They've had to go 7 twice, and they're a frustrating team because they feel like they play below the level of their talent. But I just don't know how many teams in the NBA that could realistically win the title when your best forward size guy or wing size guy is Dean Wade. Yeah. Like even Jalen Tyson, who I really like and I loved in the draft and has had some moments for them in the playoffs, like he's a shooting guard playing small forward. Like the amount of guys that they have on this roster, and this has been the constant Like
you could do that for pretty much the entire like Cavs thing. It's just shooting guard playing small forward. Like,
right.
It's all of them. Yeah.
They almost have to. They have. I talked about this when they made the Keon Ellis Dennis Schroeder trade. I was like, the amount of guys that are just guards on this team is kind of insane. Now, some of them can cosplay, like Max Strus and Jalen Tyson. They can cosplay as small forwards, but like you have Keon Ellis, who doesn't even play, Donovan Mitchell, James Harden, Dennis Schroeder, Sam Merrill, Jalen Tyson,
Dean Wade,
Max Strus. Dean Wade's an actual like forward size guy. He's like a 3 or a 4. But like I'm talking just like guys that are mainly 2s and like can play the 1 or the 3 if you need them to. Schroeder's a 1, but like most of their roster is just guards that are cosplaying at other spots. And ultimately, when you run into a team with as much size and skill as the Knicks, you're going to lose it. Even after game 1, even during game 1, I was like, the Knicks are still winning this series. Like there was no point that I felt like the Cavs were going to win this series.
And I guess part of the thing is, it's just like, where do you find the 3-4 again, the 3, because I think the idea of a 3 is kind of spurious, like in today's like NBA, like that's not like a defined thing. Take a sample of like all 30 teams. The guys that the teams have playing the 3 is by far, I think, the most varied like skill set, and like guys are different sizes, and it's like it's kind of a weird thing, because you're like, what you're usually talking about is you're talking about your guy who's usually like kind of he's either at the nail, or sometimes if the 4 is a little bit more involved, he's the guy in the corner on the weak side, like shooting.
Mikal Bridges is like the only small forward left. And even then he can play shooting guard. Like I'm just saying that it's like he's really like the only, like I know right now they have him playing at shooting guard, but when I think of like a 3, it's just rarer and rare that you have the guys that are actual 3s.
Well, Jaylen Brown kind of used to be, but now he's like pretty solidly a 2, just because of like the virtue of like how he plays, and I think that like Harrison Barnes, I feel like was one of these guys, but he also like kind of, the thing was 4s got smaller and like kind of stopped being bigs and started being forwards. You know what I'm saying? And then it kind of blended everything with that. And I guess that's the end of the day, is they need the forward. And a lot of times we see this happen to teams. It happened to the Grizzlies when they were good, where it's like you need your OG, the guys like OG Anunoby just like do not fucking grow on trees. And or Aaron Gordon, like those guys are
This is why the Knicks loaded up on these guys, because they were like, hey, what if we had 2 of the best in Mikal and OG? And then also
Josh Hart, who's also kind of a 3 sometimes, like again, is kind of a 2 cosplaying as a 3, but plays like a 3.
See, I think he's a 3 cosplaying as a 2, but that's another conversation. But the long and short of this is that there just are so few good wings, and they're hard to acquire. And when you're building your best, when you have 3 max contract players basically in James Harden, Donovan Mitchell, and Evan Mobley, and they're power forward, really shooting guard, 2 shooting guards, 1 plays point guard in Harden, because Harden has become a point guard over the years. But he's older now. And you're also paying Jared Allen over $30 million a year. Like there's just no way to acquire from a contract structure standpoint, and from you already gave up all of your draft capital. There's no way. That's why they took the swing on DeAndre Hunter, and it didn't work out. And the thing is that the only way that they really can do, when you said what's the way they're going to get it, it's LeBron James taking a veteran's minimum contract. And you really want 41-year-old LeBron James to be the only wing on your roster? Like it's to me, this team is at a point where like I could see them go one of like 3 different directions this offseason.
Hold on. I'm getting a call. Ooh. Unique Sports Management International. Who's this? Hello? Terrell Harris. How you doing? What, you're watching the podcast and you said that we're forgetting someone? We're forgetting one of the greatest 3-4s we've ever seen? A playoff riser? Someone who would fit right in Cleveland? Tell me more, good sir.
They've been interested in Tobias in the past. By the way, he's a free agent, but here's the thing. with the way their books are lined up right now, they have no way to even use like their MLE.
Yeah.
They have no way to add talent. And Donovan Mitchell's up for this massive extension after the season. And he also could wait to get even more money if he waits an extra year. But like, if I'm the Cavs, first off, like when I said they could go in 3 different directions, this is what I was thinking. Yeah. They could go blow it to smithereens, trade Jared Allen, let James Harden walk. And it's crazy to say that after they made the conference finals, but like Windy talked about this. He was like, the fans know that this team is not good like the old Cavs teams. Yeah. Like he was like, they know this isn't the LeBron. Like he's like, you could feel it in the arena. They used to have these elite crowds, and now they're like, they keep blowing these games to lesser teams. Like, yeah, they made the conference finals, but now they're getting smoked. And the thing that I wanted to like, the thing that I'm trying to get at here is like, they could blow to smithereens, trade Donovan Mitchell, trade Jared Allen, let James Harden walk, and then maybe try to build around Evan Mobley and get a bunch of draft picks and go from there. They could also go even further and say Evan Mobley's at the high point of his value. Let's trade him when he has this massive contract and really blow it to smithereens, although they don't have their draft picks. So that's a little bit, obviously, an issue for the next few years. And then they also could go, let's run it back one more time with these guys and add in whatever we can by trading salaries, try to get Harden on a cheaper deal that's a little bit longer until he's like 40 or whatever, pay Donovan Mitchell and then figure it out later. And then also they could kind of split the difference and just trade Jared Allen and maybe try to do Evan Mobley at the 5 and get more help on the wings. Like there's a bunch of different directions they could go in. And I don't know what I would do if I was running the team, but I do think that there's they really need to consider everything, including blowing this team to smithereens.
I wonder if it's something like, the problem is who's a James Harden team and is going to like,
I have a list.
Trade? And like, because you know who I thought of, and I know that it probably is a bad idea, but like,
I know who you're going to
say. Well, Houston, like they could kind of use James Harden a little bit.
No,
like,
no, that's not the team I was thinking of. I thought you were going to say Atlanta, which I just thought was the funniest.
I mean, again, he would kind of be like Atlanta has so much to do. The problem is that I think Atlanta's probably getting their guard in this draft, and I don't know if you want to like muddy the waters, bringing in like old James Harden for like a baton handoff, like like for that, but I'm trying to think of teams that are like kind of ready. Like,
all right, I have a list. I have a list. Okay, so first off, the Houston thing, I would agree with you in theory if Udoka just doesn't want him. They've had a chance to get him twice, and both times he said no. So, like, if they're going to continue, maybe they say, fuck you, you're on the hot seat. We're not going to take your advice. But I just think that that's unlikely. So I had Atlanta number 1 only because the cap space, they have cap space. Like, they can make, and this is another situation where it's like, James Harden, if you're walking, it's going to be like $20 million. But also you're 37 and you've exhausted your stay in like 5 different teams at this point. And then think about how many teams don't want a player of his stature in the first place.
It's an unreal cultural fit. I'll say that. Like
Magic City Harden might really revive.
Magic City Harden could, like, the MVP season could come back. Like
I'm saying we could get a 3rd James Harden revival in Atlanta. The other team I thought of was Minnesota, which was a signed and trade with Randall going to a 3rd team.
Interesting.
Because I was just like, ultimately, we never did a season obituary for Minnesota just because the only real moves they have is like trade Julius Randle, I guess. Yeah. And like maybe Dante DiVincenzo's 11 million.
They did like pretty well. Yeah. I keep forgetting Dante Torres fucking.
But I've said this for the Sixers. If I were Minnesota, I would do a soft reset because I think my core right now is Anthony Edwards and Jaden McDaniels.
Okay, yeah.
I don't care about Naz Reid, even though I know they do, and they're gonna do whatever. Like all I'm thinking is that if I'm trying to build a championship core around Anthony Edwards, Naz Reid can't be off limits in any trade. Sure. So Jaden McDaniels and Anthony Edwards are the 2 guys I'm building around. My thought was like, get what you can for Julius Randle, even if that's just salary dumping him, and then trade Rudy Gobert and try to get picks and young players.
I don't know if I would trade Rudy Gobert. I'm going to be honest. I feel like he's kind of essential to like what they do. I would
I
kind
agree.
of
You're
worry
never winning a
about.
championship with him, though. Here's my thing. He
Okay.
was virtually unplayable in the Thunder and Spurs series the last 2 years. And he is still an extremely good rank. He's also a little bit older than you think. He's like 34. Like
Yeah,
I
the
think he's
wheels are
still,
going to come off soon, probably. Yeah.
and like here's my thing. There are teams like my thought with that was you trade him to Charlotte and you just get expiring contracts in Grant Williams, Josh Green, and Trey Mann, and then you get like maybe the Dallas pick could be interesting.
Yeah.
Charlotte has 2 firsts in this first round. They also have Miami's pick. Like that's the kind of trade I'm talking about, where it's like, because you drafted Baron J to be his replacement last year, and if you really like him, I'm assuming they do because I've heard good things about him. That you need to like really load up on talent to have a chance. Now, you will always have a chance in the playoffs. Like you can win playoff series. Yeah. You can, whatever. You're never beating the Spurs or the Thunder with this core, in my opinion, especially with the Dante thing, like him tearing his Achilles. Like that's why I would consider a soft reset if I were them. This is the opposite scenario where they're like, we're going to try one last iteration of this with James Harden in here, running the offense with all of these guys as surrounding pieces.
I feel like right now the East might be, we kind of thought the East was going to like snap shut again after this year. And like with the Pacers and like the Celtics hypothetically coming back, Celtics are kind of sneaky in like a little bit of flux. Like I feel like even if they don't get Giannis, I don't know what plan B is, because it kind of would feel kind of crazy to like bring this team back.
Well, they'll probably keep an eye on Donovan Mitchell. Probably keep an eye on Jamal Murray, I would imagine. I'm trying to think of just like guards and creators that would fit with this team that like have playoff experience, and those are the kind of guys I think they would probably be going after. I'm not sure if they're available and they can actually get them.
But it just seems kind of like, it just seems kind of difficult to like do something like that. And I just don't think the Celtics have, I kind of know like with Brad Stevens, it's going to be something like fucking weird that like we're not expecting. It'll be like DeJounte Murray for like something like some weird package or something like that.
Like a buy low.
Yeah, like it'll like if it's not Giannis, it'll be something weird that like nobody's thought of. I'm trying to, or like Emmanuel Quickly or something. I don't like something weird like that where you're like,
Emmanuel Quickly is a good one because he has a good EPM.
Yeah, that's what he looks at. Like
for EPM maxing.
Yeah. But like I just think that like for the Cavs, like you could talk yourself into like it really is just the Knicks. Like the Pacers losing that pick is pretty massive. They are probably going to be good again, but like you don't know how Halliburton's going to look. Like Pascal Siakam's also kind of getting up there. They have a totally new center in Zubac, and like I'm not gonna lie, I know he's like not like a great player, but like Miles Turner was kind of important to like that identity. Like
I said this before, like it just made them really hard to guard when they had a big who could shoot.
Yeah, like, and so I don't know. I don't think it's like a gimme that the Pacers are like back to being like the demons that they were.
So are you talking from the Cavs perspective here? You're saying
that's
like
what I'm saying. Like you could talk yourself into like, okay, we just have to beat the Knicks. Like it's basically like what the thing is that it's like, so
see, this is why I, as a Sixers fan, just like I talked about with Minnesota, I'm using the Knicks series as a measuring stick to be like, we're pretty far behind this team right now. And like, there are other teams like that you didn't even mention, like the Pistons and the Hornets that are also getting better. And like, we don't want to find ourselves in a situation where we just can't beat these teams that are in the upper tier, which is why I'm pro soft reset, but I don't think they're going to do it because they're hiring a new GM who is probably not going to want to do that. But do you want to hear the other two Harden teams I had real quick before we?
Yeah, sure. Okay. Miami.
I had, I didn't have Miami. I just don't see it. I don't see it at all. I don't think he would heat culture thing. He's not the player he was when he was
he would
like, it's just not a fit. Like it doesn't make any sense to me. If Miami doesn't get Giannis, I think they're going to make a full push for Donovan Mitchell and like offer like a bunch of shit. That makes more sense to me. Honestly, there's an argument. I haven't even really thought about it, but like I think they are at a point where they have to blow someone away with an offer to get a guy. And I've actually thought about it, and I'm like, I know Giannis is obviously much better than Donovan Mitchell, but like, I kind of would rather do that if he's available than Giannis. Like, I know it sounds insane, but to me, like the Mitchell and Bam thing just makes like a pretty good fit. They're both around the same age. The cost probably wouldn't be quite as much for Mitchell as it is for Giannis.
Yeah.
And like, I don't know. I just thought that like they could figure out ways to get like their bullshit wings to fill in the roster.
Yeah.
That was just a thought I had, but, and then the other team, I just had they will continue to forever be. I know they've like changed their culture and their ideas and stuff, but they will forever be the fuck it we ball team, and that is the Suns. Like they'll just always be like,
so much sense actually.
Like, we can fix James Harden. Like come on. Like we need a playmaker. Like we got all these guys around him. And once again, like none of these teams can create cap space except for Atlanta. And the Bulls or the Nets, like the Nets are definitely not doing that again.
No.
The Bulls and like the Lakers have no use for him. They're the other teams that have cap space.
Well, do you just do it if you're a really bad team? Do you just like let him fucking sell tickets and like hope that it's not like you're kind of taking a risk that you'll be good enough to get out of the flat odds zone?
Sure.
You know what I'm saying? I think the flat odds and
Sure.
like having a relegation zone makes stuff like that a little bit more viable.
Right. The
like,
Sabonis factor, raising your floor.
Yes. Like I do think that like the Bulls like could do something like that to be like, hey, let's not be like the worst, but let's be like, let's have the Unk show come to town.
If you get Caleb Wilson throwing lobs to Caleb Wilson, like
that would be a pretty good. They have the 4th pick. That could be actually be.
I didn't think of that zone factor because their new GM seems to be like, we're gonna do his whole thing is size, length. He called it SLAP: size, length, athleticism, physicality. Not James Harden at 37 years old. I don't think he would fit that. But also, if you want someone just to come in and you're like, here's $35 million, $40 million for 1 year, and we'll do this, like he opts out and then, like you said, keeps them in the mid zone. It's interesting.
Is there a package there with Giddey at a Harden sign and trade?
I mean, not to the Cavs. Unless the Cavs are just blowing it to shit.
I mean, you don't think they wouldn't talk themselves into that? We were just talking about how there's no threes in the NBA anymore. Like,
I mean, Giddey's a point guard. Like
he needs to have the ball in his hands. But if you're getting rid of James Harden,
if my team made the conference finals and then they traded for Josh Giddey, I would jump off of a fucking building.
Yeah, I mean, me too. I'm just trying to think about like if a team is like, if you're looking,
is there any team that would want Josh Giddey? His contract isn't that bad.
The Sacramento Kings would want him.
Well, also, I don't even know if that's true because we kind of penciled in them as the James Harden team.
Yeah.
Chiodo kept sending me light the beam gifts whenever Harden had a bad game. And I was like, yeah, that makes sense. But then I was like, but they're going to draft Acuff. So I'm like,
yeah, that's true.
But I will say this much. The Giddey contract isn't as bad as you think. And you did just talk about the mid zone. Like,
yeah,
he might make you mid, and the mid might be selling now under these new draft lottery odds.
Yeah.
So that's a wrinkle that I didn't really think of. So the other two teams I had, the Suns is the fucking we ball team, and then I had the desperation team to keep Giannis was the Bucks. But I don't think that's gonna happen.
The Bucks thing is over.
Yeah, I think it's over.
I think it's do the Knicks have the balls? One thing I'm watching is if the Knicks lose the finals, are they a Giannis team?
No, I think that them making the finals saved every player on the roster.
Okay. I was just thinking he's been linked to them so many times, like what if they like get swept in the final? I don't think that would happen, but like what if something like that happened where they just look really far away? Like
then maybe, but like I think it would be a pretty bold move to be like, now from a salary standpoint, Karl-Anthony Towns is up for a very big contract. And honestly, they'll probably lose Mitchell Robinson this offseason no matter what, just because the tax bill is getting to a point where it's like literally unsustainable.
Yeah.
And every dollar you pay him is like paying him $5.
Yeah.
But so they'll probably lose Mitch this offseason, but like otherwise they're good. And like Mitch has not been that great. Like you could find a backup center. And like I think they're pretty much going to be running it back no matter what happens. But I do wonder if, because Giannis, apparently we said this on the last episode, and it turns out that it sounds like we were right, which was that it sounds like Giannis's destinations are really right now the Heat, the Celtics, and then potentially maybe the Mavericks, because the Masai connection, and he's apparently wants to stay in the East, but we would be open to playing with Cooper Flag. I just don't think they have enough. Like, I'm like, what are they trading? Like the 10th pick in the draft and Lively and like who doesn't really play and like
that would
PJ Washington. Like it just doesn't.
They're too far away. They're not like
they shouldn't.
They
also just hired the draft guy. Why would you hire a draft guy if you're just trading for Giannis?
And also like Cooper Flag and Giannis is like they would figure it out, but it's like it's a little bit redundant. It's not the cleanest fit in the world. Like,
I still don't think this will happen, and I just want to move off the Giannis conversation after this. I still don't think this will happen. Now the Cavs apparently discussed a Mobley for Giannis swap, and the Cavs turned it down. I'm just like, don't do that. To me, it's like it's just this team's such a mess. Like it's weird to say that about a team that made the conference finals, but there's so much they have to change for me to think that they can win the conference. That I'm like, I guess trading Mobley for Giannis would like obviously raise their ceiling, but also like there's a chance that that is just a disaster with the current team that they have. And if Donovan Mitchell is getting paid that much and Giannis is getting paid that much, how do you build a real team?
I think if that's on the table, you do that. Just go down swinging, and then fucking if you're how many years are their picks impacted left? Because I don't think they have that much time left. Like on the Mitchell trade,
it can't be that much because it was the 2022 offseason, right? It was 4 years ago.
Yeah, well, I'm gonna get that number because I think what you do, like you can time
that 2029. So he's got the next 3 or 4 drafts because you can trade 7 years out.
Oh my god.
Yeah.
What was this pick? Oh my god.
Remember they did that
thing
all
the way. It's all the way to they don't have their picks again until 2030.
Yeah. So
they have no picks, literally no picks incoming, and like almost all of their seconds are gone.
Like they don't. That's why I keep saying, I'm like, what did they do?
Yeah.
Like, all right, we'll trade Max Strus's expiring content, and they're also paying a crazy tax bill too.
Is this really all Donovan Mitchell stuff still through 2029? That's kind of crazy.
Because you could trade 7 years worth of picks, and that's what they did.
God damn. It feels like it's been long. It feels like it's been 5 years. Has it only been like
2022,
4?
I believe it was. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, it was because once again, by the way, I just want to put out the irony of this. If Donovan Mitchell leaves the Cavs, this will be the second time that Jalen Brunson has ended the tenure with the career of the Jazz. He took it to him in that series, in the Mavericks Jazz series, left, went to the Knicks, beat him twice with the Cavs and the Knicks, and could potentially end another era of Donovan Mitchell hoops. But yeah, like I'm just saying, I think everything's on the table for the Cavs this offseason.
For sure. No, definitely. I mean, I think the ultimate answer to this question is who likes what on their roster and what can they do with that,
And the last thing I'll say about the Giannis thing, I still don't think it's going to happen, and especially because he doesn't want to play in the West Coast. But with J-Dub's injury,
I thought about it,
and Chet's inconsistencies, and them needing another guy, like I just think the contract structure is too hard to pull off because you're going to be, you can't pay 2 super maxes right now. Like I just think that's like, I don't even know how you could make that work.
Chet going, I actually don't believe in unions. We're a family here. With his fucking like he that he doesn't get the max. Like he didn't have that in his contract. Like he's staying at the baby max, which is
and he didn't have any leverage because of the injury concerns. So they were like, well, if you get hurt, like so no, he kind of got hosed a little bit in that, and then J-Dub. Everyone keeps saying maybe they'll sell high on J-Dub. They backstab him, like whatever. I'm like, that both of these things are just not a very Thunder thing to do. Like maybe they do it only because the finances require them to, but I just am like, I don't know.
I would trade Chet while people are still kind of figuring that out. I don't know. I think the Mobleys, the Chets, the Jaren Jackson Juniors, I just think those guys are kind of overvalued in the NBA today. And
we just saw JJJ go for a lot. So
yeah, like, and I think if the Thunder do this, I'm going to be very mad. Right now, everyone's making fun of me because now that everybody hates the Thunder, I'm kind of like, well, this is, I'm very like, well, I mean, this is how they play basketball. Like, what do you want from them to do it? This is a great team. I respect the organization of Oklahoma City. That would
do it the right way.
That would reignite me hating. I really don't have any hate. Like, if the Thunder win the title this year, I'll be like, that was genuinely very impressive. Like,
yeah. I thought you were going to pivot
teams.
as of a week ago. I thought you were going to pivot and say this is the worst team to ever win back-to-back titles. I think there's an argument. There's an argument that could be the case. I guess the Pistons in the 80s. And now I'm sure there will be older people like, oh, the Pistons in the 80s were actually. I'm like, guys, I'm talking about teams that have won back-to-back titles. The only teams that win back-to-back titles are like the Warriors with KD and Curry, and the Miami Heat, the Heatles, the Lakers.
I was gonna say, I don't know. The Lakers 9-10 team is
true. I was gonna say, yeah, that probably, if you're stacking them up against the teams that have won back-to-back titles, they're definitely towards the weaker of that. Yeah. And like, we lived through that, so we can say like that was.
I mean, they were
Kobe at the peak of his powers, and Gasol was amazing still, but like, it's not a super team in the way that it was with the other teams.
They got pretty fortunate that the Celtics were as banged up as they were for parts of those things. I'll say that they were pretty good. They were pretty close teams. I don't want to go full Celtics.
No, I also just want to point out that they are an extremely good team, but when you are stacking them up against teams that have won back-to-back championships, the 90s Bulls, I think they're not an all-time team. And like,
I think what we're saying is, because like a lot of people were doing some insane things about the Thunder, like especially like at the beginning of this year when they like came out of the gate the way they did. Like, I think that the Thunder, again, just stats inflations are such like a crazy thing. That's why I don't chirp about like all the Celtics like record, like how many times they've been to the conference finals, because I was there. I've seen it. It really was not. It's impressive, but it's not that impressive. And that's kind of how I feel about the Thunder teams. That being said, this team I think would be a much better, like,
this is the best version of them.
Team. Yes.
Yeah.
Like,
this is their 3-year run. This is by far the best team they've had.
Oh, for sure. Like, Jalen Williams, like, being genuinely very good now, like other J Will being like very good is like a huge thing for them. Having AJ Mitchell, this is the best Caruso's like ever played ever. Like, he's kind of unreal, to be totally honest. Like,
second straight year where it's just like he's kind of dominated for large stretches of the playoffs.
And you've got a 2-time MVP that's like the head of the snake. I think Hartenstein's like a really good high caliber like center. Like, they're a really deep team. And again, we pointed this out. We talked about the Spurs. You know, part of it is like Wemby goes off the floor, they die, but it's also that the Spurs bench guys are fucking beating the fucking the Thunder bench guys are beating the Spurs bench guys with fucking hammers too. Like,
sure. Yeah.
That's like they're so much better than any of the Spurs bench guys. Keldon Johnson, all due respect, big dog is struggling out there with bench units versus bench units. Like,
all right, let's get into our mock lottery that we wanted to do. This is just like a soft mock, as Sam said. We're not going to go full mock draft as we usually do. When we get closer to the draft, we'll still have that full episode, and we'll still talk about the draft a ton between now and then. Yeah. So let's check. This is a little temperature check on what we think teams are going to do. I'm not going to, because there are a bunch of ads on Tankathon, I'm not going to pull this up. I don't want Geico to get free clout. But let's just start with the Wizards at the top of the draft. First off, there have been rumors that they'd be open to trading this first pick, which at first I was like, yeah, every team does that. But now I'm like, maybe they don't view like a huge difference, and they think that a team would overpay to get to one, whether it's the Jazz and they want AJ badly, or maybe the Grizzlies think Boozer is head and shoulders above everyone else and they want to ensure they get him. They have a bunch of picks, so they could do that. They showed with the Cedric Howard thing last year, they're not afraid to trade future first if they want to get their guy. I think they will not be trading outside of that. They won't be dropping to 4.
No.
But right now, it seems like the consensus is AJ, but Kyle Mann posted that he thinks that there might be more buzz for Boozer at 1, and Peterson isn't out of the question either. So right now, I guess I would say AJ, but I don't feel as confident as that as I did right after the draft lottery.
Because like when guys are this close, you do kind of you don't like, obviously you don't think about fit with like the number one things, but you do kind of have to think about how a guy is going to play on a team like a little bit, you know, like how he's going to develop. Like it is kind of important for like the development of his. And I think AJ probably has, I would say, the cleanest fit of like with the Wizards just stepping into a clear like number one role like immediately in a way that's not really, because it's so weird that Anthony Davis and Trae Young are on this team. Like, and you know, what does that even like impact, or how does that like work with some of those guys? But I can absolutely
do you think they make those
Boozer,
if they knew they were getting the first pick, do you think they make those trades? I think they probably make the trade no matter what. I think the AD trade is the one that they're like, all right, let's wait to see what we have first, and then they go from there.
Yeah, I don't know. Just the price was so right with those guys. I mean, I think it's what's gonna. I think this next year is gonna tell, right? Like, I think if they re-sign those guys at more than like a number that makes us go, holy shit, those guys took a massive pay cut, then you're probably they messed up, you know. But they might be able to flip these guys, you know, and I think that's probably more where their head was at, and we'll see what the fit ends up like kind of being like with some of these guys. I think I've just kind of had AJ penciled in there. I think honestly, any of these guys could. The thing about the Wizards is they don't have firm talent anywhere except like maybe Sar. like so you could kind of give anyone's job to anyone, you know. So they don't really have to like draft for fit in the same way that, you know, other teams might have to like worry about it at some point. But and again, all these guys are so close, at least for me. I don't know, like I'm still kind of I'm talking myself back into Peterson, where I'm like, okay, well, if he had like cramps, like, you know, like god damn, like I'm like looking at
that's why his playmaking was bad.
I mean, the Kansas team was bad. How often do we do this?
So,
like, you know what I'm saying?
No,
like,
I still think Peterson's going to be really good. Like, I'm not out on. I watched enough of him earlier in the season, where before the cramp stuff really started to affect him, that I was like, oh yeah, no, this guy's a dude. He's a dude. Like, he is just ultimately. Look, once again, I wouldn't be surprised if any three of them. It does seem like AJ is going to go. If I had the first pick, I would take Boozer, and I actually don't even think it's remotely close anymore.
I would also take Boozer.
I'm like firmly to the point where I'm like, I've just been thinking about the combination of ceiling and floor with him.
Yeah,
where I'm just like, this could be one of the 10 best players in the NBA, but also like if it isn't, it's still an additive good player that will fit on winning teams for his entire career. Like the idea is like, you're drafting all of these guys with the hopes that they can be your offensive engine, your number one guy, right? Like, that's why you're taking any of them if you're taking them with the first pick in the draft. But the alternatives with Boozer is like, oh man, maybe he gets targeted on defense when he's 22 years old in the Eastern Conference Finals. Like, oh no, what a fucking disaster that would be. Like, he is going to be someone who, if you draft him and he's your second option or third option as a rookie or second year guy, he will be additive. Like, he can run pick and roll. He can also screen. He's a crazy processor. He's good. Like, his main weakness is interior scoring against guys with lengths and physicality and athleticism. And I think he will be able to solve that eventually throughout his career. And he's a good shooter and a good passer and a smart defender. And he has positional size. Like, to me, he's just like kind of like, if I were doing tiers, he might even be in a tier by himself. So yeah, I just think that Boozer is the safest pick.
I agree.
And I also buy the ceiling too.
Yeah, it's the same. I think we're in lockstep on that. I'm pretty sure I'm going to have Boozer number one on my board by the time the end of the day. I've seen enough, you know, with all these guys. I think he's going to be my number one. I just don't know if that Washington, like, it just seems like the NBA is not, so that's why I say AJ. So,
yep,
but I don't
I
know.
agree. I let's just say AJ here.
Okay.
Where the Boozer Peterson conversation gets interesting is two.
I would take Peterson.
Okay, I would still take Boozer. I think he's a different. Maybe I'm wrong about Peterson. Maybe I'm over indexing too much of college. And by the way, he was still a really good college player. And he was on a dog shit team. Like, I completely understand that. I think we might be underselling just how good of a prospect that Boozer is. And when you have a player of this caliber, I don't care about any single person on my team. Like, to me, I actually think that drafting for fit is the worst thing you could possibly do here. But if you think Peterson is a better or just as good of a prospect, and same with AJ, then I'm fine with you taking them. But if your reason is fit, and then you pass on the guy that is an MVP candidate in the future because you wanted to make it work with Trae Young and Keontae George, like, that's where I just completely reject, or you know what I mean. Not Keontae George. I'm saying, like, you wanted to make it work with whoever's on your roster. Literally there's no player on the Wizards or Jazz that would make me rethink who I'm picking at the top of the draft ever.
Well, okay, but I would say though that there is kind of a difference between like the Wizards just having like weird expiring contracts and a bunch of young guys versus like the Jazz just traded real stuff for Jaren Jackson Jr.
I don't care.
Paid Lauri Markkanen a ton of money. Like I
get it.
No, I know.
Okay, let's just say the highest of the high people who think that this is wing Jokic are right. And you drafted Darren Peterson, who has a really nice career and is like Jamal Murray. Yeah. Are you, in 10 years from now, are you being like, man, well, we just wanted to, like, and once again, keep in mind, like, I could be wrong and Darren Peterson could be better and they could think that. But if the reason is fit and what happens with your roster right now, you're in the Western Conference with the Thunder and the Spurs and all these teams that are just way better than you, and you have an uphill battle to even compete with them. And the way to do it is by drafting a potentially generational player or superstar level player, and not drafting a guy who fits well with your current roster that hasn't done anything.
Well, okay, but here's the thing, though, is that also if you believe that, then you should trade Ace Bailey and your number 2 pick to trade up and get your guy. Well, like, if you think that
you might not have to
like that.
But if you don't have to, because the way that we have had the board breakout here, AJ goes 1, and they're taking between Boozer and Peterson. And I think that is the most likely scenario that is going to happen.
I guess my thing is I have Boozer number 1 on my board. I like all 4 of these guys a lot. I feel like this is a more normal, like the thing with this draft is these 4 guys are all really good and would all be like, even maybe Wilson, fade Wilson out of this a little bit, but like they would all be really good number 1 picks, right? But I think all of these guys are more like John Wall than they are like when like I think Cooper Flagg was a much better prospect. We saw how much Cooper Flagg struggled.
See, I think Boozer's in the same tier as Flagg.
Okay, well, and I think that maybe that's our difference here. Is I still think Boozer is number 1, but I think his meta. I think he's more of like just a very good, like all NBA player, like a.
That's just where we're going to disagree.
Okay.
But that's also, here's my thing. Mm-hmm. They obviously played on different teams, so it's hard to kind of contextualize this. But like, Boozer was better in college. Boozer is someone that maybe doesn't fit your traditional, like, when you watch Cooper Flagg, you go, oh wow, I know this is going to work in the NBA because of this reason.
Right.
I think that when we have these players that break the mold a little bit, we tend to fade them. And I'm doing the opposite. Like, I think that when we have these players, it's like, there's a reason why this works. And maybe we should kind of go against conventional wisdom, because this is the reason why Tyrese Halliburton drops to 12 and Luka Doncic doesn't go first in the draft. And some guys slip through the cracks. And I do feel like Boozer has potential to be like that level of offensive engine.
That's true. And I think that's kind of where thinking like that is where we've gotten a lot of our draft hits. I think that's why we were so high on Edie.
Edie Con.
Yeah. Like, outliers.
Sometimes you do get Reed Shepherd sometimes.
Yeah.
Where it's like, and we've hopefully learned from that, where it's like, all right, if a guy is that size And
I'm
also,
gonna stick by that. I'm gonna be honest. That draft was just dog shit.
no, I get what you're saying,
Yeah,
but what I'm trying to say is like, I think that for future drafts that are better,
yeah,
and in most drafts we probably would have had Reed like 5, maybe
sure,
or 6 or something.
6, yeah.
But in that draft I had him 1. I don't remember where you had him. I had him 1 or 2, but
no,
yeah.
I had Topich 1.
Yeah.
What if Topich was just lights
I had
out?
Devin Carter 1 by the end. I was, once again, the reason why I lock my boards 2 weeks before the draft now is because I can't get bored and take Devin Carter 1.
Yeah.
So the long and short of this, I just want to kind of summarize, is like, if you think that Peterson is the better prospect, take him. If you think that AJ is the better prospect, take him. I just wouldn't consider anyone on the Wizards or Jazz if my goal is to draft the best player and potentially win a championship. Because I think that that's the way that you draft a guy and you go, we're a really good team, but we might not be able to reach our ceiling because we felt like we needed to draft a shooting guard or a wing or whatever. I just think that you should, when you're in the positions that these teams are in, you should draft a player who's number 1 on your board, regardless of positional fit or regardless of whatever. Because you can always, teams change so fast now in the NBA.
Sure. Yeah,
that it's like you can always trade Lowry Markkanen. You can, like, if this guy comes in and is the oh my god, instantly is a top 20 player in the NBA, then you can make changes from there.
Yeah, my thing is, I think that you've got to do it fast, because I think the other side of the coin here is you risk Daryl Moreying a little bit when you do that. These guys are human, and like this is 2 different all NBA players you're putting next to your number 1 guy. Like, he's gonna get minutes, but like that,
I guess I also don't really understand
weird.
why it wouldn't be good. Like, if he's literally one of the 20 best players in the NBA instantly, and then it's like, oh, we have to bring Walker Kessler off the bench. Like, who cares? Like,
I mean, it's just kind of like weird. I don't want to put
why though? Like, what's the weird part of it?
Like, is going to be like kind of
weird. No, it's not. But that's one of Boozer's greatest strengths is rebounding.
Boozer's great at it. The other 2 guys suck, and who's protecting?
Lowry does not suck. Lowry is a very good rebounder for a forward. Jaren Jackson Jr.'s rebounding cannot be the reason you're passing on a guy because if you think he's a generational prospect or a superstar.
I also just think Derek Peterson's like also extremely.
That's different.
And I think
that's a different conversation. Like, if you think Darren Peterson in 5 years is going to be better than Boozer, take him. Or if you think he's going to be just as good as Boozer.
The same. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like, I think both of these guys are going to be the same. I think Boozer has more utility just by virtue of being a forward. We were just talking about 3s and 4s like a couple minutes ago. That's why I would have him number 1 on like an average board. But like, I just think like the Jazz are the weird ones in this team. Every other team I would take Boozer. I think you're Moreying a little bit. I do think that would be weird in the locker room.
Daryl Morey's idea that you should draft the best player available was not wrong. Where he went wrong was he treated the Sixers like they were a contending team, but didn't go all the way. Like, why are you salary dumping a player who's 21 years old in his second season because he can't play big minutes right now when he's coming back from a knee injury? And by the way, I just, another thing that we'll talk about throughout this process here with the draft lottery, I saw Kyle Mann tweet yesterday, which I just completely reject on its concept. Like, I think Kyle is much better at draft stuff than me. I think he does a really good job. He grinds. He's one of the best draft guys there is. But I just completely reject the idea that it's like, man, if you look at, and he doesn't usually act like this, to be clear, but it's like, when you look at the context of the Western Conference Finals and you say who can play in the series, it gets a lot harder when you're drafting. And my thing is like, would we have not said 2 months ago that Jared McCain can't play in the Western Conference Finals? Or like, would we also, like, on top of that, like, these are 2 of the, like, there are 28 other teams in the NBA that are not the Spurs and the Thunder.
Yeah.
Like, it's hard for me to like care about, like, the Sacramento Kings can't draft Darius Acuff because the Sacramento Kings will never be in the Western Conference Finals. Like,
I think a point in your favor here that I do think is true is I do think that coaching has never been better. I think we've got pretty good coaches pretty much around the NBA, guys who understand that, like, they don't dictate the system, their players dictate the system, and they kind of make it around that. And I do think that like that you would do that with Boozer. But like Boozer is kind of a funky fit, but like he has so many strengths that are so weird and teams haven't seen before. Like it's totally I think it's gonna be totally fine to make that like the identity. I don't think he's gonna be like Wemby or Shea, but I think he can be like a very good like I think in there's no reason I think in like 2 or 3 years he could be like a like a second team all NBA guy who's like kind of a genuine offensive engine and just kind of funky and just not athletic. I don't know if everybody saw the other thing too. You see the shuttle drills or whatever the agility drills they were doing with like Caleb Wilson and Boozer, and they had like pretty much the exact same time, but like you watch
Boozer
them
was better.
Or better, yeah. I was gonna say, yeah. But like if you watch the thing, Boozer's like it's just it looks very different from Caleb Wilson's, like where Caleb Wilson looks like he's going so fast, and Boozer looks like he's just kind of me out there, but he does it faster.
Yeah, they call that the economy of movement.
Yes.
Which is that basically like guys just learn how to honestly, the best example of this recently is Khan, where it's like Khan on paper should be getting destroyed in the NBA on defense. And we really didn't even see that until like the later in the season, like the play-in and the Celtics game at the end of the year where he's getting targeted. And like, yes, once again, that might cap your ceiling. Why are the Charlotte Hornets worried about that? Like the Charlotte Hornets are the Charlotte Hornets. Like now look, you can always turn around the rep of your franchise by drafting the right guy. And if you draft Jokic or you draft Giannis or whoever, I get it. I understand that. But I also am like, you can't draft based on what these guys will look like in a conference finals with two of the best teams in recent memory. Like, I just think that you take whoever you think is going to be the best player for you and your team. And like, there could be an argument, like no one would have ever thought that the Charlotte Hornets could be in these conversations, and they drafted Khan, and it turns out that they actually are ending up in some conversations for moving forward that we didn't think that they were in. And I don't know if you would argue that Khan was the best fit. I just think they viewed him as the best talent, and he ended up making a lot of sense for what they want to do as a team. And what's that?
I was just gonna say, well, I think we should put down Boozer because I actually don't feel like very strongly. I'm just saying, like,
no,
I were the decision maker.
I want to be clear. I think that they take Peterson.
Oh well, I think I don't.
You think Danny pivots back and goes, we can't go against the guy that has the chance to be like a franchise changer, and we also have his dad in the building.
Yeah, I think they probably. For all intents and purposes, they are like a pretty smart front office. I think if Boozer's on the board there, I think it's actually more in line with that front office's personality to take Boozer. To be
I see. I think the other way. I think that Danny, because like all the guys that he took with Boston that hit, and even so far with the Jazz, like they were not calculator rat guys. They were athletic. They were prestige, like high recruits. Like not that Boozer isn't, but like. They weren't the most productive. Like Jaylen Brown, even Jason Tatum, like who was good, not like hyper out of this world production.
Yeah.
Ace Bailey, like all of those guys were more just like theoretical that kind of hit their stride when they found the NBA.
They will take their guy. If they think Caleb Wilson is the best player, they will also take Caleb Wilson at number 2.
Yeah.
Straight up. Like I don't think they would.
They're the most unpredictable of any team we're going to talk about here.
Yeah. I think they're a little more inclined to do Boozer just because because Danny has always done that. He does not draft for fit at fucking all. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
I would, because I'm risk averse, and I think all 4 of these guys are like pretty similar, like levels of talent. And ultimately, I don't want to give my coach a problem. If there's going to be something like weird, like fit stuff, does kill teams like a lot. I do trust Will Hardy for that.
You're
probably right.
I guess it is a team now because they made the Jaren Jackson
That's
Jr.
the
trade.
thing. They've calcified this like pretty recently, like, and they sent a lot of picks out the door. They're not like the other 3 teams that are basically just fucking amorphous blobs of picks.
Look, Danny Ainge, if you want to prove to me that you're really that guy, You'll draft Boozer and say, fuck it, we don't care. And then you'll turn around and you'll trade Lowry Markkanen to the Pistons and use all of those picks and flip it for Giannis.
He would, like, I'm not kidding. I guarantee you there is a plan like that on his whiteboard, like in their offices somewhere right now.
Jaren Jackson Jr. at the 5, Giannis, Boozer. I mean, I don't know if you'd have to include Ace in that trade, but I don't really care if I'm getting Giannis.
He would put Ace and Keontae in the trade. Like, I'm not kidding. He would do all of, like, to get Giannis or Donovan, like, or bring Donovan Mitchell back. Like, he would
bring Donovan Mitchell back.
He would do all of that, dude. Like,
said, okay, you want your picks back, Cavs?
Yeah, here you go. Here you go.
That would be perverted.
Yeah.
All right. So let's just say, so you want to go Boozer here then?
Yeah, let's say Boozer. Let's say
right.
Boozer. Yeah.
So let's go Boozer because the Grizz seem to be locked in on Boozer. Now the question is, if they think Peterson's better, and they just go, "Hey Grizzlies, if you really want Boozer, we're going to take him."
Yeah.
So you have to give us a first round pick and a swap, and we'll take Peterson at 3.
Danny Ainge would absolutely do that too.
So that I was going to say that because he literally did this last year. Yeah. Last year he was like. So if just to really quickly jog everyone's memory, the Sixers and the Sixers were picking at 3, the Hornets were picking at 4, and the Jazz were picking at 5. The Wizards wanted to jump the Jazz to take Ace at 4 if the Sixers passed on him. They were going to take Khan at 6 if they traded back the Hornets. And the Jazz called them and said, if you do this, we're taking Khan at 5. So you can't do that. And then they drafted Ace at 5. So once again, there's nothing that you cannot count out the bastard Danny Ainge from doing something that's crazy that could happen. Yeah. Let's just say they take Boozer. Then I guess Peterson would go 3. I mean, the Peterson versus Wilson debate becomes interesting for the Grizzlies.
The Grizzlies might prefer Wilson, to be totally honest. And they're another front office that trusts their draft guys and will just take whoever they think is better.
Right. So that's why I was like, oh, this is going to be easy for the top 4 because it's going to be Peterson 2, Boozer 3, Wilson 4. But if you say Boozer goes 2, then we go Boozer 2, Peterson 3, Wilson 3.
We can flip them if we want to make it easy to do our chalk mock, because I think that probably is the most.
That's what Tankathon has. That's what all the reporting has said so far.
Yeah, that's probably the most likely scenario. Yeah,
but the Ainge factor does make it different. Like it's not. If this were all new front offices that just got hired, that's probably what they do. They just go, "This is what consensus says. Go consensus." Danny doesn't care about consensus.
Zach Kleiman doesn't care about consensus.
Yeah, exactly. So, let's just, for chalk's sake, we'll say Peterson, Boozer, Wilson, and round out the top 4. And for time's sake, I mean, it makes sense across the board to me. I think that Boozer's the best, but there's an argument for 3 of those guys to be the best. I think Wilson in an average draft would probably be the second pick in a lot of drafts. They get him at 4. The one thing I will say is, like, I do think that people are projecting a lot with Wilson's defense, and I agree with when people say that, but you're really drafting him for, he's going to be awesome transition wise. He's going to come in and he's going to give you that size, length, physicality, athleticism. Like, he's going to have all of that. Yeah. And if he hits, he might be the turbo version of these 4, he's more of a 3-4 than a 4-5, but he might be the turbo version of that guy that everyone is looking for. And yes, some of the athletic stuff with the lateral mobility and some of the drills that he did, he's not the greatest athlete in that regard, but he is long. He can jump out of the gym and he has a bag, and you can develop the other things later down the line, I think. So I think all 4 of these guys are going to be amazing NBA players. I just think I have Boozer a little bit higher than the others, but I don't really think that you can go wrong with any of them. 5 is where the draft really starts, in my opinion, which is the Clippers. Who is there a trade back scenario with OKC? Are they going to keep the pick? I would imagine they just keep the pick because this is kind of the crown jewel of the trade they just made, and it's a crazy opportunity. It
kind of sounds like Keaton Wagler is going to be the pick here, and they're going to keep it. That's what I would suggest for our mock draft. I think again, I've talked about this before. I think Wagler's kind of in that Derek Queen zone where he's like very fun, but I have a hard time seeing it translating to NBA success. I'm gonna have him a lot lower than this on my board. Like I'm probably gonna have him like in like the late lottery, maybe even out of the lottery when I do my board. Like
I have him 12 right now.
Yeah.
I'm a little bit worried about, I just talked about sometimes the unconventional thing where it's like, we just haven't really seen this kind of guy succeed. And then sometimes that can come back to burn you where it's like, well, he happened to be the exception, but I've talked about it before. And like, I think if he wants to be a lead guard, which is really where he thrived in college, the athleticism, the 2-point scoring, and some of the indicators other than the 2-point scoring, I think the bottom could fall out on that on defense, and then particularly as a lead guard on offense. Now, he, like I said, the pace, touch, and craft combo is very intriguing to me. And I actually projected, like, I think if he does hit, he's more of a secondary guy. He's not a primary guy that you just say you can run our offense and go for it. Basically, in like the comps that he's gotten are guys that are in that mold that are like the untraditional offensive engines, like the Halliburtons, the SGAs, the Brunsons type guys. Like all of those guys, I said this before, like Shea is one of the most unique movers that we've ever seen. He also is a fairly a little bit more athletic. Brunson is a 1-of-1 player, and Halliburton is a 1-of-1 player. Yep. And all of them are just like, I would be very worried to take them based on a really good year he had in college. That I'm worried about some of the stuff translating, but I do think like the secondary playmaking, the shooting, and the handling are enough to take a swing on him in the lottery. I just don't know. 5's pretty rich for me.
I was gonna say, do we think, because my upside for him is like a weirdo variant. I think it like his ceiling of ceilings is like a weirdo variant of like Jamal Murray or something like that. It's kind of like my, and I think that's like,
I've seen Tyler Hero, which is like kind of in the same idea, but obviously Jamal filled out and is you know, is a better player than Tyler Hero, but like in the same general idea.
But I just think, again, and I think that maybe this is part of this is just how risk averse I am, like especially in like this zone of the draft where I just do not like taking swings with picks this high, especially if you're not at the like tippy top of the draft and like have a chance to get like a franchise player. We're talking about like swings to get an all-star here, you know, like not an all-NBA guy. And I would just rather have, especially for this specific situation that the Clippers find themselves in, I would rather just have a sure thing and have a real like NBA talent here. But it does seem like it's going to be Wagler.
Okay, so we'll go Wagler. You would take Mara, I assume.
Probably, yeah. Probably if I were the pick, I might do something weird like Cam Carr or something like that. I would consider
Cam Carr's a bit rich at 5. Like I like Cam Carr.
I'd probably try to trade back like at that point, but like, you know, I'm thinking of like guys like that. I think the other one, I'm probably going to project him to the Nets with our next pick, but like Mikal Brown is probably the other like pick I would.
Yeah, I would consider. I would probably consider all of. Here's the guys I would consider here.
Yeah,
I would consider Mikal Brown.
No,
I'd even consider Yaxel. Like I think I would have a conversation about it. Yeah. I'd consider Mara. Mm-hmm. I consider Steinbach, and I would consider. I'd probably even go as far to consider Wagler in like a cuff. But I probably would end up being a little bit risk averse on this as well. Mm-hmm. I will say I don't want to take every draft stat comp as gospel here. Mm-hmm. Do you want to guess who the number 1 comp for Mara was statistically in terms of similarities on Draft Baller?
I was gonna say no. That's not gonna be right. Is it? I'm trying to think of big centers who were. Is it Klingon?
It was Hashim Thabit.
Never what you want to hear.
He had some other good ones. Yeah. But I did like. I have wondered with the Mara conversation because right now I have Mara at 10.
Yeah.
I have wondered with the Mara conversation. Have we just gone too far in the other direction where it's like, well, he's big and he can pass and he's a good rim protector, so he will obviously be a very good NBA player with like Klingon was a better prospect than him. Edey was a better prospect than him. And some of that is hindsight bias, but we both were fairly high on those guys in that draft. But I think that if I were ranking those three, he would probably be third now that we know what we know. And he really only has 1 year of like crazy college success. Some of the stuff, there is weaknesses in his game. Like specifically, like he hasn't played a ton of minutes. Like the conditioning stuff is similar to Klingon when we talked about him. The defense outside of the paint and the rebounding is not elite for someone his size. And there are good things about his game. The passing, the processing, the playmaking's good. The fact that he can be a roll man and catch high and keep high and score easily inside the paint is very good. I don't think he's going to be a shooter. Like people think that he's going to be a shooter. I don't think he will be. It's harder to predict with big men because they just take longer. And sometimes they just become shooters halfway through their career. And you're like, all right, well, I guess this is happening. But I think they should consider Mara here. Like, I definitely think that if you want to build with Darius Garland, if you want to talk about fit and you're like, Darius Garland's one of the guys we want to build around, I think Mara would be a really good fit with him. And I also am like, hey, we basically might have just turned Zubac into larger Zubac. And then on top of that, we have him on a rookie contract and we got an extra first round pick and Benedict Mathurin out of it. So like that could be like a great return, but I do generally agree with you that I think Wagler will be the pick here at 5. So if we go Wagler at 5, then we're going, do you think Mikal Brown is 6?
The Nets are kind of the wild card with this. Like, I don't know. Like the Nets
they could go Mara. They could go
reporting.
Nate Ament was one of the guys that they got attached to.
And you know, I if it were me, I would just take Mikal Brown Jr. just because like I think he's got the best shot.
You're taking a swing.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. I think they need talent, like period. You know what I'm saying? Like, say what you will about the Clippers, they do have Darius Garland and
Kawhi
Leonard. Like, you know, like so there's they have like something on that roster. The Nets have fucked up everything a billion times. And I hear people screaming at me, you can't take another guard. Yes, you can. Those guys all fucking suck. Like, I don't care. Like, if I can get a good one, who cares? The Nets have to be in the ultimate zone of best player available. Like everything you were just saying about the Jazz that now comes back like on this Nets team, you have nobody on this roster should get any consideration whatsoever. If I'm
the Clippers or the Nets, I'm calling both OKC and I'm calling the Kings. And being like, how badly do you want for the Kings Darius Cuff? And for which, by the way, I think it's a lot. If I could get an extra first round pick, like even if it's a far out one with protections on it from the Kings, give me that.
Kings, give me that. We can't have Kings fans trading up for Darius.
Sorry,
it would be such a disaster.
Sorry, we're doing it. So there's that, and then there's also the if you've identified that you want Yaxel or Mara or something with OKC, we'll gladly trade back to 12 and 17. But we also want an extra first because we're trading from the 5th pick to the 12th pick.
Who's OKC competing with for Yaxel? That's what I'm trying to like identify with.
We'll get there. Let's see who we get to here. Okay.
Because I think I agree with you. I think both the Clippers and Nets would be very happy to trade back with.
So let's say it's Mikal Brown here, and then it's Darius Cuff, because I believe that is what Tankathon has. Oh, no, they don't. They have Kingston Flemings going 6 to the Nets. So let's say it's Mikal Brown. Let's say it's Darius Cuff. The Hawks are on the board. They're picking between Kingston Flemings,
who I would pick,
Braden Burries, Yaxel, Mara. They could also trade back. And honestly, I think if you're trading back as the Hawks, getting 12, 17, and 38 to move up 4 spots and OKC gets their guy at 8, that's fine with me. Like that's plenty of return for the 8th pick in the draft.
For sure. Again, I think they would be happy to trade back. I would either take Flemings or Mara here.
I mean, I would personally, I think I would lean Flemings. I'd probably just take Fleming's. Like I let's say Fleming's goes here.
Yeah.
So
it's
we're
perfect fit for him. It's like the ideal landing spot for him. We talked about that last Thursday.
So now we're at the Mavs, and this is where Mavs are at 9. So far, just to recap, we have AJ, Peterson, Boozer, Wilson, Wagler, which is just chalk. Then we switch it up a little bit, and instead of Kingston Flemings at 6, we have Mikal Brown. Then we have Darius Acuff. Then we have Kingston Flemings. Now we're at 9, and this is where we were like, oh, the Mavericks are in a great position because they just need a guard. And now we've had a run of guards go just before them.
Yeah.
And they're picking between, I think, Yaxel and Braden Burries. And I think they'd probably take Braden Burries.
They would probably take Braden Burries. I think they could also try to trade back for like a Corey. Is another like move that's open to them.
Well, they might get a Corey at the end of the first. They have a pick late. They have 30. They could jump up.
I feel like he's gonna shoot up. I mean, I know
I don't think he's gonna go lottery. I think that he's probably gonna be like just after the lottery, if anything.
He's so good. I feel like I really don't know why he's worse than a lot of the other guards that are getting buzzier. But yeah, Burries is probably. I feel like they kind of need a guard to be like totally. And I'd like again, you never want to be drafting for fit, but just like Mara with like.
Well, if Lively, no. I will say, here's the one thing where I think that the fit comes into consideration.
Mm-hmm.
If Lively, you're like, oh, we have Lively's medicals, he's going to be fine. I would rather just roll with Lively than take. And center and point guard are so position locked with some guys where it's like they can't play anywhere else.
Yeah,
and like to me, like the when we were talking about those guys earlier, I'm like, I think Boozer could play the 3 or the 4. I think even in like, I think that there could be worlds where Peterson can play multiple positions. AJ can play multiple positions. No, these guys that we're talking about, like Mara is a center. Mara is just a center. Lively is just a center.
Yeah.
And if you know that Lively is going to be fine, I do think the Burries thing, I know it's a bit of a safe pick, quote unquote. And they were hoping for a little bit more of like a swing, but you do have to start thinking about like what this team's going to look like. They're one of the teams where you're like, we already have the guy.
Yeah, you don't need to be going crazy with swings. Yeah.
We have to look at what this team is going to look like in the playoffs. Like most of these teams, the Kings don't have to worry about that in the same way the Mavericks do.
Yeah.
And Burries is like, regardless of like whether I'm crazy about him, I'm not, but like he is going to be a guy that can play in the playoffs if he hits in the way that we think he hits. So I think Burries would be probably their pick here.
For sure.
The Masai factor, you have to consider Nademan and Yaxel and the long wings.
Yeah.
But from a solid, can probably play the 1 or the 2, fits around Cooper Flag because he's going to take a ton of threes, and is going to be a solid defender, not an all-world defender, but like a good one.
25-year-old Yaxel and 20-year-old Cooper Flag doing the Spider-Man meme with each other on this team.
Masai might do it. I really don't think you could put it. He's just like Ainge in that he does not care, and like we'll just take whoever he thinks is the best. So all right, so we'll go Braden Burries 9.
Yeah.
So then the Bucks are on the clock at 10. Do you think that Tankathon is right and Nademan and the other day Ahmed said the same thing on when we did the deep dive on the Patreon episode?
It's very horse coded. I'll say that. It's very horse coded.
But we don't really know how he drafts. Like he's never had high picks.
Yeah, didn't he draft Thonmaker, or was that the previous?
No, that was previous. I'll tell you what. I could tell you right off the top of my head because I've done this 100 times.
Jordan Nwora.
That's he was the 60th pick in the draft. Like I'm talking about like guys that he's drafted with real draft picks.
Jordan Nwora was a first rounder, wasn't he?
No, he was a second round pick.
Was it like 32 or something? I thought he was like pretty high up there.
No,
I thought he was like 28.
No. I'll tell you right now what his history of first round picks are. Dante DiVincenzo.
Okay.
Marjon Beauchamp.
Bad pick.
AJ Johnson, but both end of the first. Like they were not in the teens or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
He might have drafted DJ Wilson, which was also not good.
Yeah.
I think he drafted DJ Wilson. So that's so
45th. Wow.
Yeah. Noir was not a first round pick. And honestly, some of the guys that they've gotten later, like Mamu and Sam Merrill, like ended up hitting on their second teams or third teams. And I look
They traded back. They traded the RJ Hampton pick. That's what it was. Okay.
I was gonna say they did not have a first round pick. Now, when I lay that out, that's kind of wingy. AJ Johnson was a guard, but he was had really long arms. Marjan was just a wing. Dante's obviously just a guard, but DJ Wilson, if I remember correctly, was also a first round pick of his. So there is maybe he does tend to go for the wingy forward type guys, and Amen and Yaxel would probably be two that they would consider here. Yaxel is in the scenario where Giannis is staying. If Giannis is like, you know what, fuck it, let's just sign the extension. Let's stop doing this. I'm staying here, which I don't think is going to happen. Yaxel, if they drafted Yaxel and kept Giannis, I would be like, this is a much more interesting team to me now.
It would be. You have Ryan Rollins,
Miles Turner.
Yeah, Miles Turner,
Yaxel, Giannis. It's starting to look like the reason why I was so out on the Bucks was because I was like, they have no NBA players outside of Giannis and Miles Turner. And then Ryan Rollins became a guy, and AJ Green's a fine fifth starter in that scenario.
Who's their Sam Hauser? They have
AJ Green.
AJ Green. There we go.
Yeah. So then I'm like, this is starting to look like a real. I'm beginning to recognize my ball club again.
Yeah.
And then but I don't think that's going to happen. I think they're just going to trade Giannis, and then they're not going to draft a 24-year-old.
Yeah. I mean, I think Ament is probably the pick if they are.
Yeah, it's probably Ament.
I think that's probably who we should. Ament talked me off the cliff a little bit with Ament the other day. I didn't realize he used to be a good shooter. I
think he's worthy of a swing.
Yeah.
I think he's worthy. I still have him 19 on my board, but I'm he's worthy of a swing when you're getting into the late lottery in the teens.
Yeah, for sure.
I wouldn't take him. I wouldn't take him until 19 or 20, but I'm also, that's just not the kind of guy that I tend to go for. But if he does hit, very hard to acquire 6'10" guys who can dribble and shoot and have some defensive ability. So I understand why he has fans. It's just not, I would be very ugh. So by the way, we have not drafted Mara yet. Mara or Yaxel or Morez. They're all still on the board. And we're at 11 with the Warriors.
They would take Yaxel, I feel like.
So would they take Yaxel? Because I know that is splitting the difference. But Yaxel is that's dude, you've basically gone bar for bar with Techathon right now.
No, really, yeah.
That's where Yaxel, Amen. Now the guards were a little mismatched, but obviously Acuff to the Kings, Wagler to the Clippers. So would they take Yaxel? Because I think they're kind of ready to move on.
I wouldn't. I don't know. I wouldn't take Yaxel here. I'm going to be clear. I would take Mara and just get things started again. Let's get going again. And that'd be great value right here. Let the Thunder get Yaxel. I know that sucks, but it is what it is. You've got the Warriors are, it's never been more Jover for the Warriors. They've got to start making plans for the future here. So
yeah, and Mara is 21 versus Yaxel, who's 24. There might be a little bit more room for growth there. I do think that Mara tends to kind of fit what this new front office likes in terms of draft. He's a very statistically proficient guy. He's massive and they need size. There's also been reports coming out that they might move on from both Porzingis and Horford this offseason. So I wouldn't be shocked. I mean, honestly, if I were them, I'd probably take one of Mara or Yaxel at this spot. Yeah. I mean, that would be and then if OKC gets Yaxel at 12.
I think it's the most likely scenario. This is his floor. He's not getting by them at 12.
All right. So we'll go Mara 11 and Yaxel at 12.
Yeah. Now we have the Heat at 13.
Or the Bucks. It's either the Heat or the Bucks. But if they trade for Giannis, then it's probably the Bucks. But we'll see.
Yeah.
So the Heat are at 13, and then we have 14. We have the Hornets.
I gotta start looking at who's on the
board. Who's on the board? Yeah. So Tankathon has them taking LeBaron Philon. Kareem Lopez, I just don't know enough about him to really have a definitive opinion.
I think he's in the Hugo Gonzalez camp where you just kind of whenever you're ready to take that risk,
I think if the Heat are picking here, they're taking Cam Carr.
That's who probably I would take, to be totally honest.
Athletic shooter with some defensive chops. I know he's not the greatest point of attack defender, but the help stuff. Mm-hmm. This is kind of I know he's older. They don't care about that stuff. Like, they don't care that he's 22.
I think they would also take Hans Steinbach here. Is another guy.
I think they would consider it. I also wonder if they don't get Giannis, then Hans Steinbach should absolutely, because like the Bam Hans Steinbach front court is like, that's ideal for especially if you believe that you can develop his shot, because then it's like, cool, we have a 4-5 with like basically a very complimentary front court. Now that Bam can shoot a little bit too, like I would like that a lot, and I would be very bad if they got that because he just feels like he could be an absolute demon on that team. But I think they would go Cam Carr. I feel like
he is very heat coded. He is very heat coded, 100%. Yeah. Like
movement, shooting, athleticism. Yeah. Like very, very productive in college for his 1 year at Baylor.
He would make an all-star team. Fucking like I know fucking Spo would figure that out, man. Like,
so the third guy I think they would consider here is Morez Johnson.
So I was thinking of him as like coming into play for the Bulls for sure.
So I was thinking for the Hornets with the next pick, because they need a 4.
They also could use him. They could use Steinbach too. Like,
I would say it sounds like Steinbach. Maybe it's just because he doesn't get talked about as much. It sounds like he's kind of falling. Because it's just more of the fact that we have all these risers, and if someone rises, someone has to drop. And he feels like a guy that feels like he's likely to go outside of the lottery now.
That seems kind of crazy to me, because I think I'm probably going to have him in my top 10.
I have him like 6 right now. Like I like him a lot, and like I think that he will be in consideration for a lot of these spots. Mm-hmm. But I ultimately think that a lot of these teams are going to go in a slightly different direction, and he will be the swing that's outside of like the lottery that could have potential for maybe being like a star one day. So the only reason I don't think they take Morez is because because Bam and him, like, he's very heat coded. Don't get me wrong, but he's just very similar to Bam.
Sorry, go ahead.
No, you continue.
I was gonna go off. You do your Morris Johnson thing, because I was
just gonna say Bam and him have the same physical profile. Yeah. They're both like 4-5s that really, ideally, you play them at the 4, but like they probably have to play the 5 because of the shooting, and you might not have anyone else that can play that. And they don't seem to be crazy about Khalil Ware. Like, they're always trying to trade him. Yeah. So I'm just skeptical that Senek or Morez would be guys that they would draft here, because they're building around Bam. But they always just take best player available. Like, they don't care about that stuff. Like, they're just like, if they think Morez is the best at 13, they're taking Morez, and then Morez is going to be an all-star.
I could also see them taking Senak and just telling Spo, like, figure it out.
Yeah.
Like,
sure. like they did with Ware.
Yeah. Like, and just be like, hey, like, we're giving you the best rebounder ever. He can't do anything else. Figure out our scheme. Like,
I think if you want to draft the best rebounder ever, Steinbach is. I can't believe it isn't really talked about how good of a rebounder he is. He might be the best rebounder I've ever seen. That's not like that might be able to play at the 4. He's probably going to be a 5, but like he's such a good rebounder.
I like him a lot. But I'm thinking about like last Thursday when he had the numbers for like Senak's like rebounding. Would you say like Senak had like there was some calculator rat like
on a per possession basis, Steinbach and per minute basis. Steinbach clears. Steinbach on a per 36 minutes averages 12 rebounds per 36, and he played 34 minutes a game, so he averaged 12 rebounds per game.
Okay, so in this scenario, then he's available for the Hornets. Like, that would be insane.
See, so here's the thing. I think if they go Cam Carr, which we could go Cam Carr, we could go any of number of these guys. I think that Morez is a lock at 14, because I'm like, that to me, that is like the guy that they need, like the defensively tilted 4-5 who can play small ball in some lineups, but also should be able to, like, if he can ever shoot, he could play with Musa too. And like, I kind of believe in the shot. I don't think he's going to be able to shoot right away, but I kind of think he might get to like an average, like a beef stew level of shooting. And that is the guy that I think that that's exactly who they're looking for, like athletic wings and forwards and bigs. And I feel like that is the guy that they would take at 14.
So if you're going to do that, why not lean all the way in and just go Quintins?
Go who?
Quintians? How do you say his name?
Quintians?
Quintians?
Yeah. I mean, they have a second pick. They could take him too if they want.
Yeah.
Like,
I my thing with Perez, John, I understand that like I think if you're going to go that direction, this is a scenario where I would kind of rather swing, like
where do you have Perez on your board right now? Do you know?
I haven't officially done it. I'm probably going to have him somewhere in here. I'm going to probably have him somewhere in here.
Have you looked at his tankathon? Because I can't believe you haven't brought this up.
No, is he a green guy? Oh,
he literally has no
yeah. So
I'm not quite as high on him as this.
Yeah.
But between crushing the combine and having all green flags on tankathon, I figured you would be, and also winning the national, being very good for Michigan in the national championship.
I was going to say, I'll admit I liked it. I did not know this, and this does make me like him a little bit more because I thought that he was. I thought the shot is still kind of a problem.
He doesn't shoot enough for me to really care, but like he shot, I think he made 15 threes this year. So like there's something to work with there. The thing that was impressive to me is that he got to the line a ton and then he made 78% of his free throws in college. So there's something to work with there where it's if he goes to the right team, like the Heat, he's probably going to be able to shoot.
No, and he's old. My thing is, I always, and maybe this isn't fair because sometimes you get your Devin Bookers or somebody like that. But when a guy is like the third best guy on his college team, I sometimes get a little bit, even if they won a championship.
Was he the third? By the end, there's an argument he could have been the second. Like Yaxel was the most consistent and the best, and he's also 23. Yeah. And then he had 1 year, and him and Mara were very similar. In that they kind of went back and forth between being the best player, the second best player on the team. Yeah. But like there were certain games where Merez was a non-factor and Mara was dominating. And then there were certain games where Mara was a non-factor and Merez was dominating. It was a matchup thing for them, really.
I'm going to be honest. He's one of the guys I haven't like looked at tape as much as some of the other guys. So this could just be me like just straight up not being familiar with his game. But
the only thing I'm a little bit worried about, and I don't usually worry about like the tweener thing, but like if he can't shoot, he's going to be pretty much a small ball 5. And that is concerning. The offense is still a little bit far away for me to really feel super confident about him, but I do think he's going to be like a defensive stalwart. To me, I think he could just be like a better version of Isaiah Stewart.
Yeah,
like a better beef stew.
And that's a pretty good player. Like
not a 1-for-1 comp, but like it's just like a very good NBA player for a decade.
Yeah. I just like I don't know. Like I just think the Hornets just kind of need. I think of their center problems being bigger than their 4 problems. Like I know Miles Bridges is
there are no bigs. They also have 2 picks. So like maybe they take Steinbach and they just go, we're going all offense with this team. Yeah. And then if they take Steinbach here, who knows? Maybe when they're picking again at 18, Merez might be on the board or Senek.
Like I think Steinbach, because I think he kind of like leans into their identity a little bit, while like. I would rather have good rebounding than good defense almost for this Hornets team. You know what I'm saying? Like end of the possession, like play bad defense.
That's why they fell apart in the play-in though, because it was like the second that the possession battle stuff is like, we're really good on defense, but we suck everywhere defensively. We're really good on rebounding, but we suck everywhere else defensively. When other teams are like, all right, well, we're going to lock in on the glass now. Their defense was ass because they couldn't end possessions.
Right.
So that would be my argument against that. But like, let's just say Cam Carr to the Heat at 13. Sure. Yeah. We'll go Steinbach 14 to. Well, let's just go up to the second Hornets pick real quick, because I'm interested to see what you think about this whole range. Because let's just say Steinbach at 14. Let's just say they like him and they want to lean into that identity. Then you have 15. You have the Bulls making their second pick. Then you have the Grizzlies making their second pick, the Thunder making their second pick, and the Hornets making their second pick. Yeah. So let's go 15. I think 15 for the Bulls. I think they would take Swain. They would take Swain or Merez.
Yeah, probably. I think they would think about Phylon.
Maybe.
Yeah.
It's if they think he's the best player, I think so, but their whole thing is like size, physicality, athleticism.
Yeah,
He is not that.
Swain is probably the
he feels like the guy for them if he rises and he fits that profile. And then you add Caleb Wilson and Swain, both non-shooters, but both fit that athleticism size thing really well. I
think they'd look at Sturts too. I'm gonna be totally honest. Like
I think they
pretty
would
high for him, but like
I think Phylon is more likely, but I think they would consider Sturts here.
Yeah.
And then we get to 16, and I think this is the lock of the century that if Sturts is on the board, he's going to the Grizzlies.
Yeah. I mean, I was gonna say, you don't know the Ty Jerome, like it's gonna be a movie.
Productive college player,
yeah,
white dude who is just like this is to me, if there's the only pick I feel more confident about is the Acuff pick. Like it's literally like if Sturts is on the board at 16, they're taking Sturts.
Yeah.
And then we get to 17, we get OKC with their second pick. I think to me, this is where you're like, we're throwing Sam Presti a bone and we're letting him draft Kareem Lopez.
Yeah, that's literally what I was gonna say. Just I don't know what else the thing would, but yeah, you and try to stash him. He's probably wants to come over, but like try your best if you're not trading these picks. Like,
and then 18. So did we take Merez already or no? Merez is still
Merez is still here. So now you can get him.
Now you get Merez at 18.
Yeah,
and then so that's where we're gonna end.
Merez and who did we just
Steinbach. Yeah,
I like that. That's like an interesting like
two swings.
Those guys, because I kind of think those guys can play together too. I'm gonna be totally honest. Like, will your defense be good? No, but like it would be like kind of interesting. I don't know. I think the Hornets, I don't know, that I'm going to be watching that zone of the draft is so
very interesting, especially because there's whenever teams have two picks and we have four teams in a row that have two picks, that's where it gets crazy, where it's like we could, which is why once again I think the Kareem Lopez pick is only because we're like, we got the sure thing in Yaxel, and now we can take like a swing, whether it's Kareem Lopez or Graves or someone in that mold. Maybe even LeBaron Phylon. He is a pervert. Like he just always drafts guards.
And somebody's gonna like do a wow in this zone too. Like somebody's gonna let's just draft like Christian Anderson or something like that.
Okay, I was gonna say. So my oh wow Bill Simmons guy. I think I'm searching through all of this. I'm seeing who's on the board. Graves would be an oh wow guy in the teens, I think.
I feel like it has to be a good team though. But yeah, like the
but a lot of these teams are decent. Like yeah.
The Hornets could kind of use them, to be totally honest.
I would say my other oh wow guy is probably Quintians, where it's just like, all right, they're taking a chance.
That would be very interesting. The Tankathon mock has Pete, I think lower than he'll probably go. I feel like I think he might end up.
Is he going to stay in the draft? I feel like every time I hear about him, it's like, they're telling him to go back, and he's just like, I'm good.
I mean, he probably should go back. I don't think he's. I don't think he's.
If I were him, I would.
I think some team would fall in love with him though.
I would want to go at the end of the first if I were him in his camp, because I was like, draft me to a team with like Luka or Jokic, and I'm like, that is the ideal. Like Lakers or Nuggets are the team that I'm trying to get on if I'm in his camp.
Let me ask you, Trill, does a Corey go at 26, 25, or 24? How close does he get to dropping to the Celtics?
Let me see who's picking in this range, because
it's the Knicks
at 24. The Sixers won't be taking him. The Knicks might. I don't think so. The Lakers definitely won't. Yeah. I don't think the Nuggets will. If any team in this range takes him, I think it's the Hawks.
The Hawks, probably. Yeah, if they don't draft, especially if they don't get a guard.
If they take Mara or Yaxel up top, I think they take Okori at the end of the first. Yeah. And I think that right now, I would say they're gonna take a guard here. But I still am like, they have you guys thinking, and just real quick. I think if the board breaks in a similar way to this and Graves is still on the board, the Sixers they're going to take one of Graves. If the board breaks this way, I think the four guys that are most likely for the Sixers at 21 are Graves, Swain. I think Joshua Jefferson and Koa Pete would be my guess. Is like the 4 guys. Maybe Amari Allen if he stays in the draft. But I just always maybe it's
no Zuby.
No, I don't think Zuby gets that high. I think Zuby goes in like your range. I think he goes like end of first, beginning of second, and I like Zuby a lot. But the thing I just want to say real quick here.
We're gonna take Alex Caravan, dude. I can feel it in my bones.
If I were, you know who I would take? If all the guards are gone, if Christian Anderson's gone, if Corey's gone, I would take Bruce Thornton from Ohio State. I really am like, dude. Now look, he was a 4-year guy. He is not that athletic. He is built. When he was a freshman, he came in at 6 foot 220 as a freshman guard.
Oh man,
at Ohio State, he's at 225 now. He has a 6'5" wingspan, so it's not like 6 foot with a 6 foot wingspan.
Yeah,
dude, his shooting numbers. Chuck put him on my radar originally because I remember around the time of the tournament watching him.
3 assist turnover ratio.
Okay, 3-to-1 assist to turnover ratio.
Yeah.
That's not even the most impressive part of his stat profile.
Yeah.
Dude, his floater range stuff is literally almost Jokic level. And from the float, I'm going to tell you right now, it blows my mind. I'm going to read off these stats. 60% from floater range on high volume, 57% from mid-range overall, 40% from 3 on decent volume, 85% from the line, 3-to-1 assist to turnover ratio. And my thing for him,
I'm in on this guy.
My thing for him is, and this is not a good comp. It's not a 1-for-1 comp, but my weirdness watching him, I was like, he almost, and I think the reason why you would love him is that he's almost like, what if Davion Mitchell was like offensively tilted instead of defensively tilted?
Interesting. Okay. I like that. I was going to say, because I like that he's fucking solid.
He's a truck.
6'2", like if you're gonna be 6'2", you bet like be 220. That's how Jared McCain is surviving in the because he's just strong as fuck. Like,
and by the way, I get crazy with the stat comps, and they're almost always wrong for the upperclassmen guys. Yep. His closest stat comp on Draft Baller was Jalen Brunson.
And that was kind of what I was doing.
And last thing I will say here, but because Bruce was really good his last 2 years at Ohio State. Yeah. Joshua Jefferson popped more this year, but he was pretty good his year before that. Joshua Jefferson is the other guy I was going to say for the Sixers. I know that the athleticism questions are real, but like I cannot quit him. It's like when I used to watch draft, like when I watched Maxey in the draft, and I was like, we've never had a guy like this since Iverson. Like, I'm just like, please just give me the guy that can like dribble and he's fast as shit and he might be able to shoot and he's just like a blur, like whatever. When I watch Joshua Jefferson, and I'm like, the Sixers have not had a guy that can pass like this since Ben Simmons. And he's just making every single pass, pocket passes, skip passes, like bounce passes, outlet passes. I'm like, this guy is literally one of the best. Now, all the athleticism and defense question marks, like what he will look like and how can he score are all real. But his number one stat comp on there was Draymond Green. And I was like,
I thought you were going to say slow-mo. I thought you were going to say Kyle Anderson. Yeah.
If I had to comp anyone to him, it would probably be slow-mo. I think someone said that he's like, if you put slow-mo in Oso Iguodaro's body, I think Sam Vecini said that. Yeah. And I was like, I think that would be the closest NBA player to Joshua Jefferson, to be clear.
Yeah.
But those are my like upperclassmen guys. Those two and Zuby. If you're going end of first, beginning of second, if I were a GM, I would take those guys at the end of the first round.
That's a good find by Chuck. I'm all in on this Bruce Thornton guy. I'm gonna go watch some tape.
He's a demon, dude. It's very unfortunate because I watched like 3 games of him towards the end of the season, and he sucked really badly in the tournament game. But I just don't care about like, oh, he's bad in one game.
Tournament, tournament rarely matters.
And also, if he gets drafted to a team where the best players are wings or bigs, he's going to be such an off-ball demon like right away if he is athletic enough and good enough to play in the NBA.
We need that, dude. We need somebody who's if this guy can like figure out, because like that's what the if you can be a bowling ball guard, like and you have touch, you've got a shot. Like
his touch is crazy, dude. Like this guard class, for everyone shits on it because it's mostly point guards, but I'm like, every time this happens, there's always like 2 or 3 guys that are incredible.
When I've felt this way, I'm Acuff and Wagler, I'm kind of out on, but like, and Fleming's, I'm like, I've come down on like, oh, this guy could be an all-star, to where I'm now like, this is just a good NBA starter. Like, but a lot of the other guys in this draft, like when I feel that way, I remember feeling this way about the bigs in the
2024 draft.
Yeah, the 2024 draft, where I was like, all these guys are pretty fucking good. Like,
yeah.
like I don't know if there's like a right one here. Like, I was probably the lowest on Ware, and that was because just when guys are kind of a head case, it's a little bit of a like shuffle. Like, so, but man, it's kind of how I feel about this draft. This draft is like, it's a lot of really good players. Sometimes in drafts, like you're looking at like 14 and you're like, I don't know. I guess
I think there are 18 lottery level guys in this draft. And then I'm like, then I get to the end of the first and I'm like, some of these guys, like, I just really think are worth
a lot of these guys.
Yeah.
I still like a lot of these guys. It's a really good draft. Like,
I'm pushing back against people who are saying that the draft is, we're not doing it again this year. But every year we get to it and everyone goes, well, this draft actually isn't as good as I thought. And I'm like, why do we do this every year? Like, let's just let the draft be the draft.
This draft is going to be demons. The only guys I'm like really kind of out on, I'm pretty out on Christian Anderson. I'm going to be honest. He's kind of my,
he's very tiny.
Yeah. He's my, like, I just don't get it. And I'm pretty out on Koa Pete too. But
same.
Everybody else, I don't know much about Isaiah Evans. But
I don't like Isaiah Evans, but I know some people who do. To me, Isaiah Evans is like a 2-guard who's just a 2-guard, and he's basically his path is like Isaiah Joe with a little bit more creation juice. Like that's the
interesting.
Yeah. I'm not a big fan of his, but I know people who really like him. His analytics are really good, but he also played on Duke. Like, oh, cool. He played with
that'll happen.
And Con
that will happen.
And Boozer, and exactly. So, all right, let's get out of here. Be back later this week. Take care. Oh, have fun on vacation, Sam.
Yeah, I won't be here. I'll be in Oklahoma City celebrating my Thunder's title.